Hundreds of people returned to Shifa Hospital and the surrounding area after the withdrawal early Monday, where they found bodies inside and outside of the facility. The military has described the raid as one of the most successful operations of the nearly 6-month war, saying it killed scores of Hamas and other militants, as well as seizing valuable intelligence. The head of the World Health Organization said late on Sunday that 21 patients at least had died during a raid, and more than 100 were in dire conditions. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Tens of thousands of demonstrators took to the streets of Israel over the weekend, demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Netanyahu, also demanding that more be done to win the release of hostages still being held by Hamas in Gaza. There's a new minimum wage law on the books in California.
Most of California's fast food workers are set to be paid at least $20 per hour. The increase has been cheered by workers and labor unions who say it will provide a livable wage. But some business owners say it will cause them to raise their prices or lay off workers in a state already known for its high cost of living.
Correspondent Greg Clugston. Less than a week after a container ship brought down Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, crews operating the heaviest of equipment are working to clear the Baltimore Harbor Channel of tons of wreckage, steel and concrete. Maryland Governor Wes Moore says it's crucial to reopen the key port of Baltimore, rebuild the bridge, and to conduct a thorough and speedy investigation of the catastrophe. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures 11 points higher. NASDAQ futures are up 45 points, and the S&P futures better by 8 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
This is Dennis Prager, and now a truly exciting new benefit. My monthly online video get-together for Pragertopia Plus members only. For an hour each month, get an exclusive chance to ask me anything. I'll be answering your questions. I've never done this. Submit your questions for me at Pragertopia.com. This is our chance to connect like never before. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
Millions of recalled Hyundai and Kia vehicles with a dangerous defect remain on the road.
In September, Hyundai and Kia issued a recall of 3.4 million of its vehicles with an ominous warning. They should be parked outdoors away from buildings because they risked catching fire, whether the engines were on or off. 6 months later, most remain on the road unrepaired. Hyundai and Kia acknowledge little hope of fixing most of the affected vehicles until June or later because of a parts issue. I'm Julie Walker.
An old landmine found by youngsters in eastern Afghanistan has exploded while they were playing with it, killing 9 children. A Taliban spokesman says the mine, which the youngsters found near their village, was from decades ago. He says last night's explosion killed 5 boys and 4 girls. They ranged in age from 5 to 10 years. Townhall.com. A stretch of California's scenic Highway 1 collapsed during an Easter weekend storm, forcing closures and stranding motorists near Big Sur.
Chunks of asphalt from Highway 1 tumbled into the Pacific Ocean in a section north of Big Sur and about 17 miles south of Monterey near Rocky Creek Bridge. Engineers had to close the highway temporarily to assess the damage, and the San Francisco Chronicle reports that some stranded motorists slept in their cars overnight or sheltered at the Big Sur Lodge. Caltrans is advising drivers to avoid the area over the coming days as crews shore up the highway. The scenic road has seen frequent closures due to collapses, mud flows, and rock slides during severe weather. I'm Jennifer King.
2 people died when a single-engine airplane crashed amid moderate snow in a California mountain town just north of Lake Tahoe over the weekend. The Federal Aviation Administration says the aircraft had 2 people on board, crashed around 6:40 p.m. Saturday while on approach to a local airport. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, Whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The demolition, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning, one and all. Welcome to Mornings with Mike Winters. I am he. That would be me, Mike Winters. Happy Monday, everybody. Easter Monday, post-Easter holiday.
April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day, it is.
If you have friends who choose to only be funny on April Fool's Day, those people aren't funny. It needs to be said.
Be on the lookout.
You're going to be plagued with several of your friends saying that they're pregnant today. A lot of
people still do that one. Like,
yeah.
I thought that one jumped the shark.
Yeah, it most definitely still happens.
Yeah. That one's not funny.
No,
it never
it's not.
ends well. Like for every 10 of those I see, one ends up kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one.
Just one or yeah. Here's the thing, though. I say that only non-funny people are trying to be funny on St. Patrick's Day, on April Fool's Day. I do get duped. I have been duped several times before.
I think I have too. I'm sure I have.
I'm a very gullible person.
Yeah.
But I admit that. That's why I surround myself with protective people.
I do not like the individual little pranks like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those I find annoying. And even at best, they're marginally entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love when corporate entities play in the April Fool's world.
It's interesting when it backfires on them.
It is.
Because they'll come up with a product that's like, oh, this will get them. And then people are like, no, we want that.
Yeah.
And then if enough people say they want it, eventually it becomes a product.
Yeah. To be honest, one of my favorite, to get April Fools from places you don't expect April Fools, those I enjoy.
I imagine we're going to get something good from Wendy's today.
Yeah.
7-Eleven, I don't know if it's a April Fool's Day prank or not because they announced it last week.
Yeah, that seems like it's a... You're going to tell everybody you're doing it?
Here's
it's
what
not
it
really
is.
A prank.
They're releasing a new line of flavored seltzers. 7-Eleven is.
Okay.
And they have orange, cherry, a couple of them. And then the last one is Big Bite flavored.
Ew.
It's
tastes like a hot dog?
supposed to taste like a 7-Eleven Big Bite.
All right.
And I'm like...
Which one?
That's I just said a Big Bite.
Oh, maybe the OG.
That sounds like it said we'll have more info on this next Monday.
Because I feel they have
And
a
that's
whole
today.
series of Big Bites now, like one with chili,
Right.
one that's got some crusty stuff on it.
Getting all fancy now.
It's got the most crust. But to be honest, one of my favorite ones of the years that I've talked about it before on the show, is when the Air and Space Museum did one. I don't know, half dozen years ago or so. It actually was pre-COVID, so it's probably longer than that.
Right.
And they literally had a display in the Air and Space Museum of just three chalks sitting, the little wood blocks that you put around wheels of airplanes. They had them just sitting there in an airplane shape.
I know where this is going.
And it was literally saying we're putting Wonder Woman's invisible jet on display.
That's amazing.
And they did a whole video. They had a guy up on a ladder pretending to wipe it, people looking. It was a whole thing.
That's pretty funny.
And it was enough where it duped a couple of people. My dad was one of them. And I thought he was joking, but he was not. He was like, that's pretty cool. They got the invisible jet. And he's showing it, and he's sending me it's serious. I was like, Dad.
Boom, boom, boom.
I was like, think of what today is.
That's amazing. It is awesome when people are like, Oh, yeah. Like, it doesn't come to you until halfway through. Like, I legitimately watched half of an episode of Good Mythical Morning this morning. Like, what are they doing? This is a weird game. Oh, right. It's April Fool's. I got duped.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The margin of error in April Fool's jokery is so narrow.
It is.
You really got to be careful.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, it ends in disaster.
It weeds the wheat from the chaff. You really find out who those unfunny people are.
Yeah.
One of my, I shouldn't say favorites, but one of the ones that stands out in my head is the one that Opie and Anthony pulled for when they were working for WAAF in Boston.
Okay.
It's the one that got them fired the first time. They went on the air and reported that Mayor Menino had been killed in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
And because they were, a pretty popular station,
It
news
caught legs.
agencies picked up on that and started doing and like they were reporting on it.
Yeah, about to say, I'm sure they duped a few news that don't do their fact checking.
Yeah, exactly. News agencies were saying local station WAAF reporting Mayor Menino in a horrible.
And I'm going to guess that was a time where they should have, because I'm going to guess that was around the heyday of Baba Booey's.
Yeah, it was
and
like
all
96 before there was a real deep internet and
that.
before.
Well, but even in that time, the Captain Jenks was doing his thing on CNN and all that big time at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that they should have been on the guard for that one. But because that was, that's the part that always gets me about CNN and these other news agencies, and that's why I think they're all joke. I mean, for more reasons of that, but literally Howard Stern in the 90s just proved how much of a joke these journalistic integrity people are, because they would put, like, this guy would pose as, like, if there was some kind of major crash or something, like, say, for instance, the whole bridge collapse we had here a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Like, when CNN's covering that, like, Captain Jenks would call in posing as, like, the firefighter from Baltimore City Police or the chief or something, and he would legit, they do very little to no vetting. He would get through, and they would put him on like he's an expert, and he'd talk for like a minute about, the collapse, but then he'd go into his shtick about Baba Booey and all that, and then usually they're like, I think we just got duped, or I don't think that was the fire marshal.
Or they cut to jump to the phone real quick.
Yeah. So they were notorious for that.
All I could think of was, well, actually two things. One was the newscasters. I don't know if it was an April Fool's Day thing, but the newscasters that were reporting on a plane that went down, and they were talking about the pilots.
Oh, yeah.
And they were reporting the names of the pilots, and it was
it
like
Some Ting Wong?
Me Too Low, Some Ting Wong.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah, and you're like, red flag.
The last one was Bang Ding Ow, which I thought that was Anyways,
yeah.
The other one was there's a duo, and I don't know if they ever did a documentary about this, but there's this duo that's notorious for going around to like different morning news shows, because they always have like let's cut to let's cut to the kitchen, and so they'll be like inventors of this new product that's some stupid thing, but they get taken legit. The one that I remember was they went on a bunch of news morning shows. And we're talking about how to use your Thanksgiving leftovers to like make new food, but it was all just horrific garbage. And they were playing it off like it was
that's good
gourmet. It was
those are good. Those I love.
Those are great.
Because as a matter of fact, Kim was on something Saturday because she'll watch the Today shows or whatever they put on there,
right?
And they had like a whole half-hour show about recipe segments and it was literally a show about the recipe segments, and it was a half hour of exactly what you're talking about there. And I'm like, why am I watching this? I don't know. We just are. But anyway, how was Easter and all that?
Oh, Easter was great.
Good. A good time?
Easter was great, except the wind. We were
wind
forced
was
to stay inside. We didn't actually get to do like an egg hunt. We basically.
But did they do like a weekend of hunting anyway? Like Friday and Saturday, they went.
Yeah, there was an egg hunt on Saturday, and actually, and let me preface Easter by saying great turnout at Richland for their Easter.
Yeah, they
event.
had their big Easter bash on Saturday.
Lots of folks showed
Albertsons did too. If I remember, they had a good turnout from when I saw. Drove by there.
So lots of chances to get your chocolate bunnies and colored eggs, but we eventually just kind of gave the kids their eggs. We sort of like put a few of them around the living room, and then we just gave them the rest of them.
Yeah, my brother hid all his around the house for the kids, so I was talking to him on the phone while they were searching for eggs, and of course there was like 2 left, and he's giving them clues that are god-awful clues, and the kids are going crazy, and I'm just like listening to this in the background.
What was pretty funny was we colored eggs on Saturday, but it was made very clear these would not be the eggs that the kids would be hunting, because lessons were learned last year. And one of the eggs was never found. Well, it was eventually found.
Yeah.
And so we didn't hide the hard-boiled eggs. So we literally dyed eggs so that she could use those same eggs to make deviled eggs and potato salad, which I thought was fantastic.
Right, and I think the eggs that my brother hid around were plastic eggs filled with candy and money and stuff. In them. So, I think they ended up getting like $10-15 each and stack of candy or something. So.
I got my son something because I'm at that point with my, like, Rhiannon's kind of, past it, but I'm at that point with Hunter where I'm going to get him something, but it's kind of for me. So I got him this 4-pack of, the Mr. Beast bars.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that Friday that you wanted to try it. Did that happen?
I haven't tried it yet, but he was all excited. He's like, Mr. Beast. He kept running around the house going, Mr. Beast is rich, I'm like, what do you care? He ain't breaking you off, son. Like, you got some chocolate. Good job, bud.
Why do I feel like your boy's going to be Mr. Beast Jr. and he's going to be doing videos? And just because I know Dad used to love doing those videos in the day, and now I got a feeling Apple not falling far from this tree.
Probably. He is definitely he's a bit of a detention attractor.
Oh, man. That is your boy. That's for sure.
But overall, Easter was it was good.
Cool. Good.
It was a nice turnout. Had the traditional ham dinner.
Nice. Nice.
How was yours?
Good. Pretty low key. I did some cooking. Did a eggs Benedict brunch thing.
Nice.
Grilled some shrimp for dinner. And it was pretty low key stuff. But
did you guys go like full brunch? Did you do mimosas?
No.
See,
it was just
that's
Kim
full
and I.
brunch.
We just did some. I did some tater coins because I didn't feel like making hash browns after doing all the.
Plus, it's just fun to say.
Yeah.
You want some tater coins?
Yeah, I just put them in the oven for 20 minutes. I got tater coins. So they're nice. But yeah, pretty low key.
Yes.
Let me give you the rundown. I do need to get an interview going because I just saw the time. We're going to replay an interview this hour we had with District Attorney Diana Luce and Assistant or Deputy DA Hunter Spindle. They joined us on Thursday for a monthly visit from the DA's office. Had a great conversation with them. So we'll play that here in just a bit. We're going to have the folks from the Cheves County Health Council join us in the 8 o'clock hour, give us an update. I believe they usually bring a guest, talk about some of the services and things they provide for health care in our area. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, about 9:15, we're going to have the gentleman from Keynote Piano Tuning join us. I believe his name is Reed. Will join us, and we'll talk a little bit about his business. And all you piano owners out there need to get a piano. You can't tune a fish, but you can tune a piano. Those jokes. We'll get all those out here in the 9 o'clock hour. And, of course, we'll have all of your features that include the newses of the local and national variety, Wall Street business update, and whatever else we can come up for today's show. But first, let's go ahead and get you up to date on the weather. And then on the other side of that, we'll take a quick break, and then we're going to play our interview with the District Attorney's Office. So we'll be back on the other side. Don't go away.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Very gusty wind today. We have cold front moving through. Wind at 40 to 50 miles per hour. Our afternoon high in the upper 60s to about 70, and we do have a slim chance of a shower. Overnight, gusty wind continues. We'll drop to about 40 on the low under clear skies. And then on Tuesday, maybe a light shower, mix of sun and clouds, and a lot cooler. We'll stay in the low 60s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Are you or a loved one having a hard time getting to your medical appointments? At Artesia General Hospital, we believe that transportation should never be a barrier to good health. That's why we're excited to announce our new non-emergency medical transportation services. Each of our vans is wheelchair accessible, and our friendly certified drivers go the extra mile by meeting you at your doorstep and ensuring a comfortable ride to your Artesia General Hospital services. Rides are available Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Schedule your ride today by visiting artesiageneral.com/transportation or calling 575-736-8211.
Ready to hit the green? Pecos Valley Productions presents the first annual Emery's Encanto Charity Golf Scramble, Saturday, May 18th at the Artesia Country Club. The day begins with registration and breakfast at 8 a.m., followed by a 9 a.m. shotgun start. The cost for each three-person team is only $750, with proceeds to benefit the CAC in A1A Foundation's mission for treatment and a cure for CAC in A1A. Enjoy burritos by Wings, coffee by Kith & Kin, and more. With prizes for longest drive, closest to the pin, a new car for a hole-in-one, and more. After the scramble, enjoy entertainment by DJ Drowsy Drew and a live auction with auctioneer Joe Bell. Space is limited, and the registration deadline is April 15th. So get your 3-person team together and sign up today. Learn more and sign up at PecosValleyProduction.com. The first annual Emery's Encanto Charity Golf Scramble benefiting the CAC and A1A Foundation. Saturday, May 18th at the Artesia Country Club. Sponsored by Pecos Valley Production. Dairy to Dank since 2015.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. U-Haul is the world's largest advertiser in the Yellow Pages. Too bad millennials don't know what the Yellow Pages are. Here's Mike Winters.
Joining us in... And good morning. It is 22 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in the studio, now, I guess technically, officially, your district attorney for the 5th Judicial District, Diana Luce, and Deputy District Attorney Hunter Spindle with us this morning. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for spending time with us this morning. I know it's it's unusual to get both of you in the room at the same time. You know.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's a pretty busy time, and because I'm sure you guys are always. There's no day where you come into the office and be like, not much going on today. I'm going to kick back and pop the feet up for a little bit here. Now, it never happens. There's always a workload of.
No, it's been a rat race. I'm sure I'm speaking for the both of us. The last 2 months, especially, have been just go with trials and settings, and then everything else that's going on the periphery.
Is there an ebb and flow to that? Like, like if you look at like retail world, Christmas, those are busy times of year for real. Like, is there such a thing in the legal world? Is there like, okay, we just tend to see more cases in the fall than in the spring or in the... Is there, or is that it's just haphazard coincidence? It just happens to be a lot of people doing crimes right now.
There are definitely ebb and flows. It comes in waves.
Okay.
At least, and Diana can correct me if I'm wrong, my experience, I've seen there's 3 major waves.
Okay.
You have one in the springtime, where people are like, oh, okay, it's nice outside, and they're starting to go outside.
So when people times when people get together,
right,
crime rises.
Right. And then summer is always pretty heavy.
Gotcha.
And then it kind of dies down.
Guns out kind of thing.
Yeah, then it dies down a little bit, and then it hits hard right before Christmas.
Gotcha.
Right.
The holiday
season
are probably the worst. Yeah,
a lot of shoplifting, a lot of burglaries,
a lot of domestic violence.
Well,
domestic violence.
The worst of everything happens around it. Right. Suicide rates, like you said, domestic violence, drug and alcohol abuse, all of that.
You'd be surprised how many people get arrested over Christmas.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine.
Even Thanksgiving.
And Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And family members, and families are families. They love hard, they fight hard. That's what families do. And then you put drugs or alcohol in the cocktail there, and next thing you know, you have a domestic violence.
And the fact that people live in Roswell want to shoot their cousin,
Yeah. Yeah, it's very weird with some of
over an argument.
Yeah. It's very, it's just, some of the stuff we're seeing here, and like even just the one that happened here earlier in this week about the drive-by shooting and everything, it seemed a little random and all. There's just a lot of that.
I'd hate to ask you which one, because
I know. Well, the one that was, it was in the news, I think Monday or Tuesday here. It was a 50-year-old man was shot by a 19-year-old, I want to say.
At the base.
Yeah.
At the base.
That's up. That one down there. Yeah. That one was kind of
because it's active. We can't talk about it. But.
Gotcha. I understand. But, I mean, just seeing those kind of things, we're seeing a lot more of that, it seems like. But... kind of getting back to the other side here, as far as going to the jury trial, that's something we wanted because we have you both here today, and we had talked about Hunter and I in the past here that the whole how a jury's picked and that whole in TV that seems to be a very entertaining part of a show usually is the jury picking and all that. So I'm sure there's a science to it and an art form in a bit of a way and what you're looking for. So I kind of wanted to pick y'all's brains a little bit about, what, like when that's going on, like what, how does that process from your perspective go? I know, like I've been as a juror before, and I've been picked and I've not been picked on juries, and I've seen how the process goes where for folks who've never been on jury duty before you serve, you get a questionnaire you fill out. And it really, you give all your information about, family and yourself and little history. Do you have law enforcement in your family? They ask some questions like that. So every attorney has that questionnaire that you filled out prior. And then when we get there, occasionally they'll, all right, raise your hand if you have a family in law enforcement. And, everyone raise their hand. And Then who's your family member? And so they do a whole process. But then we all kind of go behind closed doors for a minute and come out and say, juror number 12, 7, 5, 2, and what you're gone. So I'm kind of curious. What's going on there?
You want to know what goes into the
I'm kind of
sausage?
curious.
What
goes
makes the
on
sausage?
between? I just filled the Okay.
We do use the questionnaires, and if they don't fill them out all the way, it's sometimes frustrating.
It's frustrating.
Sure.
And
You're
Diana,
probably going to get more questions if you don't fill it out all the way.
Oh yeah, and Diana trained me how I should do it.
Okay.
And I mean, it's a night and day difference of how first time I ever looked at one.
Gotcha.
And by training me to how to look at it, it's pick out the key important parts especially to what the case is, right?
Sure.
So if it's
obviously if it's a rape case, then there's going to be certain criteria you're looking at in your jurors there.
Right. If it's a child abuse case, how many children does this person have? How old are they? That sort of thing.
Sure.
Are they
where are they employed?
Where are they employed?
Yeah, teachers, because if you've got children in your case,
obviously
usually
teachers
probably have a lot of experience with.
Rationally, you're thinking they're going to be a little bit more emotional when it comes to a child case, or have a little bit stronger opinion about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they nurses? Are they doctors? Any of these people that are, deal with abuse that see it
and understand it a little bit differently, maybe than someone that
right.
has done a foot in that world.
Right. Are they some,
So as prosecutors, you probably want them,
but
and the defense is probably trying to get less of those people on the jury. Or am I wrong on that?
It depends. I think it more depends, but most of the time, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that probably from our perspective, we're looking for people who are going to look at our facts.
Sure.
And do like a critical analysis. Defense want people who are going to pick one thing and say, well, I don't think they got there. I don't remember them saying that. Why did they bring this case? They can't prove that element, right?
So really a defense is probably looking for like your internet sleuth types. Like these, like we were just talking about Netflix and all that. There's this whole world now of a murder case or something, and it gets any kind of internet thing, and next thing you know, you got all these TikTok detectives or whatever out there doing their thing, and those people focus on the most minute detail. Like if you want, go on X right now and just do the Francis Scott Key Bridge, and there is about a gazillion. Look at the lights on the boat.
Conspiracy theories.
There's a Pruda filming the heck out of this Key Bridge thing right now, and those type of people. So I'm thinking like defense is kind of like, I want some of those that are going to be in the jury room picking things apart and causing wrinkles.
They want people that question the evidence.
Sure, exactly.
And that are untrustworthy.
Because once that happens, then it creates doubt, which means not a conviction.
Yeah, untrustworthy of police, untrustworthy of prosecutors, untrustworthy of your normal everyday citizen. That it's like, no, I don't want to believe him.
Yeah,
that's who they look for. And that's not always, sometimes
it's not a bad thing. Because,
it's not a bad thing.
If they're looking to get it right, then that's how you get it right sometimes.
And I think that's another thing they point out. They talk a lot about wrongful convictions, and they talk about how you wouldn't want to convict somebody that was innocent. And our job, that's our first layer of our job, is we have to know that there's credible proof to charge somebody. And so when they go in there and we're already at jury stage and they start talking to our jurors about how wrongful convictions and it's the wrong person, it sets a tone.
Gotcha.
And so that, I think that's part of our struggle is we go first, but sometimes I like to say defense is about confusion.
Sure.
And so they want to make the jurors question everything from the police officer that did the work to the scientist that did any testing.
Turn over every rock to say, hey, there might be.
Why didn't they collect this? Why didn't they photograph that?
And I describe it a lot as like, we're trying to paint a picture, right?
Sure.
And, we're the artist. We have to paint it. And defense is trying to throw black paint on it constantly to disrupt that picture.
Sure.
And we're constantly trying to wipe away any of that black paint so you see the whole picture.
They're trying to create doubt, and you're trying to remove any evidence of doubt.
And say, what most people don't think about is when we go into jury selection and we're trying to figure out the type of juror we go on there. We start at that questionnaire, but really before that, we even looking at our case, we try to think of a theory of our case and come up with, all right, what are we trying to say here? What are we trying to prove? And then from that theory, we create a theme. Okay, what are we going to say to the jury from jury selection and carry it through the trial? And, during jury selection, we can't come out and just say, yes, this person is guilty of this.
Right.
We can't do that, right?
It's like, well, obviously that's what we're trying to prove.
Right. And in jury selection, we can only talk about the case what's on like a criminal complaint.
Gotcha.
We can't go into
Can't get all the details.
Can't go into the facts.
You just kind of tease.
It's very.
What do you think about child abuse?
Right. It's very high level, right?
Yeah.
It's very high level.
And we do talk about like biases.
Right.
But what we try to tell jurors is that everybody brings a bias. So it's like, what do you have in your drink cup? What does Hunter have in his drink cup?
Sure.
Right. Everybody has a preference.
Everyone's life experiences create their biases.
And that doesn't mean that you can't be a fair juror. It just means that we want to know what your biases are, and you need to be aware of them because there's no perfect person.
Sure.
And nobody's completely neutral, right? And I think that's the misconception is that people think, oh, I can't be fair because I have people in law enforcement, or I respect law enforcement, or I have a doctor in my family.
If you know right from wrong and understand it, that's really what we're asking.
Yeah, we're just asking for you. And that's some of the trouble we have is that jurors come in and say, oh, I can't be fair. I think they're guilty. And we're like, well, wait. Do you want us to prove our case? And then they'll say yes. Do you want us to have to meet all the elements? Yes. Then you really can be fair.
Right.
And so trying to not lose people right at the very beginning because they just want to raise their hand and say, oh, I can't be fair.
Right. And in my personal experience, when I've served on juries and things, I think the court does a real good job, at least in times I was a juror, of explaining the importance there a little bit. Because the judge, when you start the case and explains to the jury, look, his people are presumed innocent. You have to treat them as such. You can only base your decision strictly on the evidence presented in this room. If it's not coming out of this room, you can't use that. They do a real good job, and it's like, look, these are the charges. You're trying to convict in this and this. And they explain to you, does it meet this? Does it meet this? And any abject person, whether you love cops, hate cops, or, like you said, have your opinions about things, if any rational person can, and they do break it down to make it as black and white as possible, if that in a very muddy, emotional thing, they really do a good job of like, okay, cut through all the mustard here. Was this met? Was this met? Was this met? And was this met? And I think, and I know when I did my jury time and served, that was our Bible when we're in there. And they're like, okay, we all are in the room looking and hearing what we heard. We all have our opinions. But let's sit down and look at the list and say, was this met? Was this met? Was this met? And then if we can't check all those boxes, then we have to come up with an acquittal.
And that's what we look for. We look for jurors who can set their opinions aside and just review the evidence based on what it is, right? Yeah. Based on what they hear, what they see, whatever their senses are in that courtroom. Sometimes touching if they want to be able to look at a piece of evidence. Absolutely. And it's something that we can provide. And to a limitation, right? And with that's the type of juror we want. Now, sometimes, people get offended, and I've heard this from people, that they get offended when they get struck, and they're like, well, I want to know why I didn't get picked. And it's like, there could be a multitude of reasons, right?
Sure. Well, you're also two sides have to pick you.
Right.
Exactly. It's not one side picking all the jurors.
Well, even so, it's almost like a triangle, right? So you have a judge who is paying attention. You have us as prosecutors.
That's true, because the judge can anytime say, nice try, but I want that one out.
And a lot of times judges will do that, right? Okay. They'll be like, I noted juror number 1, 7, 13, 27.
And they're gone. We don't have any input.
Yeah, because if you know any of the parties involved in the case, the judge, the prosecutor, the defendant, any of the above, technically they don't want you on the case because that. Not that you would be biased, they don't want even the hint that you could be biased.
Right.
So the fact that you know them, even if it's we're on golf team together, or we're even if it's something as very informal as we hang out at the coffee shop together every once in a while. That's we don't want that. Not that we don't trust your opinion, we just don't want any impression that there is a potential for favoritism.
And most of the time, if someone is a juror and they're personal friends of the prosecutor, defense
stand
attorney.
up.
They stand up and immediately say it. But realistically, the judge is more of a referee, right?
Sure.
In jury selection, and he's constantly looking out, or she,
And
depending.
he's probably or she is probably a better judge, pardon the pun, of knowing if they know the people or not. Because, like, quite frankly, a lot of people are like, well, I went before this judge, but I wouldn't say I know them. Like,
Right.
like I had to come in here to pay a ticket or something one time.
Well, a lot of times it's just, is this person paying attention? Are
Gotcha.
they not, are
I
they not
gotcha.
falling asleep?
Like, are they going to be an asset to this or a liability? And if I can see they're not going to be part of the process, and maybe we need to get rid of them.
I mean, I've been in several juries where the judge is like, this guy keeps yawning the whole time, keeps rubbing his eyes. I don't know if he's going to make it through a trial paying attention. And believe me, I've had a juror fall asleep in the trial and had to be kicked out halfway through the trial because he was falling asleep, and we had to put an alternate in.
It's got to be slightly embarrassing.
Well, and,
for the guy.
I mean, people bring real life to jury
Right.
service,
Sure.
right?
Right.
And then they have to come in early, and then they sit and wait. They do a lot of waiting. I think jurors don't understand why they wait a lot.
No.
But,
Oh, yeah,
but sometimes it's with technical issues. Sometimes it's new issues have arisen, and they have to wait. And then the longer they sit there, and then they don't have. Maybe they have water, maybe they don't. We may have coffee, but they don't, and sometimes they don't like that, right?
Yeah.
If you walk in, we walk in with coffee, and they're glaring at us because they're like, "Why do you get coffee?" Right? And so we have to take that into consideration too. Like,
I've
okay,
been
I've already
lucky.
made that person mad at me this morning.
Right.
Like I had, I got picked on one that was like a 3-day case one time, and so I know exactly what you're talking about. There were times where they called us into the room. We sat there for approximately 30 seconds. And said, all right, let's get rid of the jury again. We got to, and they're literally, we walk in and they're like, oh, dang it, get him out again. But in all fairness, you walk in, they had a machine they had full of Cokes and sodas and a coffee pot, and donuts were even
So
used
I was like,
there.
coffee and donuts is
So-
once you're picked, right?
So we were
Once you're
So
picked.
yeah, once you're picked. Yeah,
Before,
Yeah, you're kind of.
You have a nice judge if they're
Yeah.
because typically if they're doing it for jury selection,
Yeah.
the judge is doing that themselves.
Yeah,
they're buying the
okay.
coffee, they're buying the donuts for everyone.
Nice, so thank you,
And,
Judge.
Yeah, if they're doing that during jury selection, typically that only happens once
Okay.
there's a jury sitting.
Gotcha. Well,
So-
I think and you'll get to know your bailiff really well. He's your best friend in the whole.
That is right.
place.
And bailiffs are our best friend too because they keep everything on track.
Yeah. Now I get it. I think I want to if I was to start over, I want to be a bailiff because everyone likes the bailiff. Because he's the coolest person in the room. And at the end of the day, if something gets out of hand, you get to regulate. It's like the best of both worlds.
I would take issue with that. I'd say we're the coolest people in the room.
Well, I mean,
but
at some point, someone's going to be mad at you. Where the bailiff, he's still
They're not ever mad at the
they're still
bailiff.
cool.
That's true. That's
you know
true.
what I mean? It's like, yeah, you threw that guy out, but you brought me a sandwich. You're cool. You know?
What I was going on with that is, it's like when we walk in the room, people are like, "Oh, that's the prosecutor."
Yeah.
Like that's, and maybe that's that whole position of authority sort of thing.
Sure.
But it's like there are like two people in the room that people seem to respect when they walk in.
Oh, yeah.
The prosecutor and the judge.
Yeah.
Defense attorneys, they're like, it's just defense attorney.
Well,
whatever."
you know what it is? And because we all watch TV.
Right.
And we all think, especially if it's a defense attorney that's not a public defender, that is a private attorney that has probably a lot more expensive suit on than you do. You know what I mean? Nicer briefcase. Drives a little more expensive vehicle out in the parking lot. And they roll in slicky boyed up and everything.
So an Albuquerque attorney.
But I didn't see it here in
We're just
Roswell.
saying.
Like I was doing judge, and I'm like, oh, this dude, check him out. He's got wingtips on. This man, he's on point with his fashion
Like he
game
wasn't
right now.
shopping in Roswell.
Yeah. A lot of that was, So I think there's a bit of that going on.
Yeah.
Where it's like. We all, especially if you grew up in the era of the O.J. Simpson trial and watched Johnny Cochran every day for 6 months or whatever that was when back in. Which, by the way, is very good at kind of what you were explaining earlier when you were talking about, because if you watch that, I know people like my mom were just junkies watching that thing all the time, but you really got a good sense of what you were talking about earlier, where the defense is just throwing every wrinkle out there.
Right.
He's trying to put gloves on, and they're, they're talking about DNA splatters and how it got here and all that, and you just see the prosecutions trying to say this, and then the defense, and obviously they did a good job on the OJ case because he got off, but they put enough doubt in the DNA and what looked pretty open and shut for a lot of people
Right.
they put and you saw exactly what they point by point. They're just putting enough doubt in there to get a jury to say, yeah, maybe he didn't do it.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, when I was talking about like theory and theme, like we try to carry it through the case, but sometimes when evidence comes up, sometimes you have to pivot, right?
Right.
You have to slightly change it, still going with what your theme is. Now, defense will do that a lot more based off the evidence. So, like,
but they kind of have to.
They kind of have to. So, like for the O.J. Simpson
Especially
trial,
if they're guilty.
Right. For the O.J. Simpson trial, for instance, when he made him put on the glove, that's where they pivoted to. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit, right?
Which by
was
the
the
way,
theme.
He didn't look like he was trying very hard to put that glove on. I don't know the story.
But it worked, right?
It did. It absolutely worked.
It was effective.
It was effective. It was very effective.
Johnny Cochran made a lot more money because
that's why he
of it.
started teaching classes on how to do jury trials and that, and became very famous.
People are
more probably because of that one line and that action.
Well,
and then started teaching that afterwards.
He was
the
official guy everyone wanted when you got yeah, he's kind of shady, but if I get in trouble, give me Johnny Cochran. You know what I mean? That was the mindset. But anyway, but it kind of, we were just talking earlier, and you were talking about how defense, and I was like, shoot, the OJ trial was really like a literally textbook example of what you were talking about there and showing that.
A textbook example of how you pick a jury, because that's the part I think that they really haven't covered as much with that trial is who were the jurors and what decisions went into why did you pick that juror as the prosecution, not as the defense, right, but as the prosecution.
And
who
it was
were they
really
looking for? And I don't know if now they could go back and they could probably, if they looked at their whole panel, they might would have done things differently.
Sure, absolutely. Well, and you think because in the history of court cases, that probably had the most unique jury selection process of any. I mean, even more so than like the Lindbergh case or these other tentpole cases, because it was in the world of the media, and literally half of what went down was put on the news months before, and so to find someone not aware of that case was next to impossible.
Granted, there was also other issues with that case that people don't talk about that I would have had a big issue with as a prosecutor. Not going off on a tangent away from juries, but realistically, I mean, the house was completely different from the date from when the murder happened versus when the jury was actually taken to the home to see it.
Yeah, it was a field trip. It wasn't an evidence.
It
was
weird.
It
was more like a tour.
That was more sensationalism than
anything.
anything.
As a prosecutor, I'd have objected to that unless it was exactly in the same state that it was in at the time. Right. Unless it was very minimal changes.
Absolutely, yeah. But you're right. For that point,
they
it was
changed
just
every painting on the wall,
that was to appease
anything.
the television audience and
Right.
and the news media. I mean, that was really all that. That did not serve the jurors in any way, shape, or form.
But it worked.
And they were probably happy because they've been sequestered for months, and they were like, "Well, it's an excuse to get out of the house and go do something different." You know.
Well, and I think that's one thing that jurors, when they're going to serve, they come in and they're given like instructions and training ahead of time, or they used to do that. Sometimes I wonder if because COVID changed a lot of things, and then it went back to. So that we don't have anything to do with like the orientation for jurors. They have all that information when they come in.
The clerk's office kind of handles all that.
They handle all that.
And then when we get there, they kind of expect things to like move timely, right? And then like what's our normal hours? What are our normal breaks? When do we get lunch? And so there's not always consistency with that. And I think sometimes jurors, they look at us because they're thinking, well, y'all brought this case, don't y'all kind of don't you kind of help us? And we're kind of like, no, the judge controls all of that. And they try to be so aware of needs of jurors for that. But it doesn't always happen. And sometimes there's jurors that are unhappy. They felt like, hey, we should have got another break. Or we should have had a longer lunch break if you tried to go to a place to eat in Roswell in an hour. You got to get in and out of a building.
If you tell them you're going to work through lunch, you'll come to regret it. Most of the jury members, I'm sure.
You're all right on that, because I do remember I was like, I got an hour. I got time to walk over to basically one place real quick. And, if it's not within walking distance of the courthouse, you probably don't have time to do it.
Right. And so it's, and then if somebody needs to take medication or if they have, a lot of times we hear about children.
Right.
They're like, well, I came today, but I didn't make a plan for somebody to pick up my kids after school. And so the judge is kind of looking at them, and we don't get to weigh in on that.
Sure.
But it's
unless
just
the judge asks.
Some things that we would, I kind of want people to think about is when you come that day, that first day.
Plan to be there all day.
You could be there all day.
It could be. Now.
And you should probably plan for the rest of the week too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And not as a definite, but as a, hey, there's a possibility, because a lot of times you don't know a juror's not going to know until they're sitting there that this is going to be a week-long trial,
Yeah.
a 2-week trial,
You
a
generally
one-day
find
trial.
out. Yeah, you generally find out when this is a case. We anticipate it to be a 3-day trial or whatever that is, and that. But yeah, you're right. You don't find out, so you're sat in, you're locked in for the day, and you're in the jury pool, and that's when they say, okay, we've got an assault case. We anticipate it to be 3 days. And then they start getting into, does anybody know this person?
Now, and if you get subpoenaed for jury duty in magistrate court, you can always plan on that being one day. And in district court, not every case, but most cases are more than 1 day.
Yeah, that's when I had the 3-day case and all. And matter of fact, I had to come in on a Saturday for that one because we started the case on a Thursday. And we went Thursday and Friday, and we got everything done Friday except, I think, closing arguments and then jury deliberation. So the judge said, come in 8 a.m. Saturday morning, and we did the closing arguments.
That must have been a changing of the judge's calendar the next Monday.
Okay, this was years ago. This wasn't recent. Yeah,
they always threaten that, but they haven't. I haven't seen a judge make us come in on a Saturday in a couple of decades.
Yeah, this was. I did it. It had been 10 years ago.
Yeah,
but It was a 3-day. It was basically a burglary case, and it was so in it's been a while, but it was something to the effect that it was a group of people that were at a grocery store that used to go to this customer's house, and he was an older gentleman, and he was younger, and so I guess these younger kids went in there and stole some of his stuff or something, and it was a whole lot of shady. But it was a 3-day case, and Friday, and they were saying no, and I don't know if it's because one of the attorneys ticked off the judge. I don't know.
It also could have been
the judge's schedule.
It could have been judge's schedule. It also could have been that they had a murder trial or some other large trial scheduled Monday, and they had to get it done.
They had to have the courtroom because depending on availability of the size of the courtrooms, that's really the issue. You've got to have the larger courtrooms for the longer, bigger trials.
And those longer, bigger trials, the ones that take a week or so, are a lot harder to move around, right? So those 1 to 3 day trials, we can kind of move them around as we need to.
Gotcha.
And sometimes the judges will do that, where they'll be like, "Oh, well, it was scheduled here, but we're gonna shift it, a month from now, and kind of tack it in there." And you're like, "Well, Judge, it's only a month, and we already have this other schedule." Nope, it's gonna trail, and it's gonna be at the end of this, and the month is enough time for you to get your subpoenas out. So here you go.
Deal with it.
And that's kind of how things go.
Yeah.
I mean,
and now that I think about that case, I want to say they may have not anticipated being 3 days. They thought it was 2 days.
Well, I
do remember we were going in. Remember when I was telling you about we went out just to go back in? That was that case. We were in and out, so there was a lot of back and forth between the lawyers.
You may have had the judge a little aggravated that the parties said 2 days, and it was
and that's probably what's going on. And again, from my jury perspective, I don't see what's going on because they pull you out. So there was a whole lot that went on while we were just in the other room diddy-bopping doing crossword puzzles.
Yeah,
I've had several judges threaten it, but it not actually happened.
Right,
I was part of the one that actually did it.
And they usually like to ask the jury. They don't usually ask the attorneys. They ask the jury, do you want to stay late or come back tomorrow? Do you want to come Saturday? Do you want to come Monday? Right?
Sure. Try to coordinate with everybody.
Well, because sometimes, the collective of the jury, you're the ones going to do the work. So when do you want to be here? Right?
Yeah. They didn't give us that choice, but
and I can tell you most of the time I would rather go late than have to come in on
another
again
day.
Because it's a whole other rigmarole of the thing going back in but in all fairness, if you do get selected as a juror on it, you are the rock star in the room. Everyone caters to you as the juror because of the importance of what you're doing there. So trust me, I know we're talking about stuff and like jurors feel this way, but once you're actually on the juror, you're
the true judges.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, the judge. And I'm not saying this is every single time I've had an experience as a juror, you're treated like you're the customer rock star. You got enough water. All right, let's get you here. Okay. Anybody need a bathroom? They're very conscious of your needs, and they are very much taking care of it. And they do try to anticipate what you're going through in every decision in that court case. In my experience, they've been every judge that I've been part of, they've done that.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm pretty sure that's probably universal with every single court case.
I think the one thing that judges respect is citizens' time.
Yeah.
They always say, well, it's your civic duty to serve jury service, but you are giving up time from your life, whether it's work, whether it's family, whether you were going to maybe go
Absolutely.
on a trip.
Yeah.
And so, and then as Hunter said, you are the fact finder. You are the decision maker.
Which can be very hard, especially if it's
very hard.
A very serious case that involves jail time or life in prison or something. Those are big impact decisions you're making here. So it's a lot of pressure.
And of course, that's not supposed to have play. Like it's not. We can't really bring it. We can't bring it up about what this person's looking at, anything like that. So it really shouldn't have any play. But in the back of jurors' minds, I know
it's a murder trial.
You know it's a murder trial.
This is some serious
right. And in complex cases, sometimes if you have a complex murder, something that is very fact and evidence focused in order to prove that this person committed the offense. Because sometimes it's very like whodunit. You have to prove show the evidence to prove that this person, and a lot of it
beyond
is
a reasonable doubt. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of it is circumstantial, where other ones, it's like, nope, we have an eyewitness who says this guy did it, that sort of thing. So it's not that way.
Sure.
And a lot of times those are a lot easier, but those complex cases, having a jury that is willing to listen and respect the evidence, respect our time that we're giving, and we will respect your time. And that's something that the judge, specifically looks for too. And I think that's, the one thing we don't want, and we don't want jurors immediately trying to get out of jury service.
And but that's even the popular, that's the running joke. As soon as you tell your friends, hey, I got popped for jury duty, usually the next question is, what are you going to do to try to get out of it? You know what I mean?
And that shouldn't be. Yeah. That shouldn't be, because it is a service, but you are doing your community good if you are willing to be on it.
I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed it. To me,
and that's what I hear from most people.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're dealing with some grave stuff and things, but to see justice in action when you don't get to see it on a daily basis, to be the perspective of a juror is such a unique perspective in a court case that I think every American should experience it at least one time.
Yeah. Well, and I think the one thing that jurors probably that serve appreciate is that what they hear in court is not what they're going to hear in the media or the newspaper or from their neighbor.
Absolutely.
Because I tell people that jury service is you're not getting the whole story. You're not getting, people like, well, we want the truth. Well, you don't get the whole story because there are rules that don't allow certain evidence in,
or
if they talk about
certain
in things.
Court.
So it's a very narrow view of what we know about the case and what other people know about the case.
Anywhere from 10 to 30% of what the whole case may be.
Yeah.
It's really never, at least in my experience, you really never get 50% of the evidence presented.
Sure, I could see that. And if you did, then probably everything would be convictions. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just and like if they're guilty, they're going to be convicted every time.
There's a lot of rules to it, and from my experience, after doing jury trials, I've had multiple jury members stop me after, like whether they've seen me, still in the courthouse, pulling me aside, or running into me at a restaurant or whatever else. They're like, "Hey, you were the prosecutor on my case." I didn't really respect the whole system until I sat on a jury.
Gotcha.
And you see that change a lot with people, is that they they don't respect the DA's office, or they don't respect the court system, or they don't respect public defenders or whatever until they sit in a jury trial
and see it in action.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wrong about how I felt about these people.
Everybody's an expert when you watch a 5-minute video on something, but when the devil's in the details on all this stuff, and it's no different than in this world. It's very much it's. Matter of fact, I was talking with you guys before the thing. All these Netflix documentaries and things about these murder trials, some of these tentpole ones, and the ones that were in the news every night. You see those ones all the time, And of course, you get a certain opinion by just watching the news stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then you watch the Netflix documentary, you're seeing the hours of court and what was going on in the court case. And it's not always the same story. And you're thinking, okay. And to be honest, a lot of times where someone that looked in the media, oh, they're guilty, they're going to jail, and then they don't. And everyone's like, oh, the system's rigged. And they're like, yeah, but then you start watching the actual case and what's presented and what's not presented. And, well, now it makes sense why they weren't convicted.
Well, and you have to, and what I hope people realize from listening, from watching stuff, from doing jury select service, is that the hours that you sit in court, right? Think of how we do probably 10 times that work behind the scene. You know, especially on these big cases.
I would imagine, yeah.
You know, so it's like we're sitting here analyzing evidence for, you know, sometimes if it's a document heavy, you know, thousands of pages worth of documents, and we're maybe presenting one or two. So it's like we have to spend that time to go through all these documents to find one page to present to you.
Oh, by the way,
watch
you've got
hours
that with
of
10 other cases with the exact same thing.
Yeah, or watch hours of video in order to show you a clip for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
I think sometimes they wonder, like, well, why don't we watch the whole video? And we're like, do you want to sit here for 5
I'm about to
hours
say, yes.
and go, oh, okay, well, there wasn't really anything on there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And so
Let's
that's
give you the Cliff Notes version.
that's part of what we talk about. That, like, if you read the TV coverage or the newspaper coverage, if you're looking at that, you're going to think, well, why didn't we get to see that? Well, there's probably a reason you didn't see it. If we thought it was important, we would have fought for it to come in.
Sure.
And if the judge thought it was appropriate and permissible, he would have allowed it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to remember that
Right.
there are reasons why they don't
Absolutely.
get to see.
There's a
hear
reason
things.
for everything.
But that doesn't mean they don't wonder. But they can't wonder as our jury, because they, like you said, they accept what we present only.
And a lot of times that's the kind of stuff you'll learn later in the, like, it's at the time you may not see it or hear it, but then once the case decide later and they go back and see this is what they were talking about. And then, so if you want an understanding, you know, just because you want to know it, but you know, you didn't need that understanding at the time because you weren't involved with it. But, you know, that's part of it too. And yes, it doesn't make sense from your perspective at that particular moment. But once you see the rest of the story, to quote Paul Harvey here, yeah, you kind of understand why decisions were made the way they were made and done. And that's, and I think and it gets back to that point about everyone serving in jury and everything else. And like you said, people have one opinion, then they serve on a jury. It's like, light bulb goes off.
Yeah.
And, I just saw the time. You know, and then so I'm hoping, you know, and now we wrap this up here. I'm hoping if nothing else, people come and if they do get the letter in the mail saying their jury duty, take it seriously, fill out that questionnaire, fill it completely out. You heard, you want to help our prosecutors out? When they ask you a question, put an answer in it. Even if it's maybe not the answer that they want to hear, give them the answer that's the truth and let them.
And that's all we're looking for is the truth.
Don't come from an angle of, what are they trying to ask me here? No. I see a lot of Judge Judy. With Judge Judy, when people start answering questions different the way she wants, she's like, don't try to figure out what I'm doing here. Just answer my question. Don't try to figure out what they're doing here. Just answer the question. Don't try to say, what answer are they looking for? No, answer the question that's right for you.
And I think the one thing we want to say is thank you for everybody that does serve jury service.
Absolutely.
Even if they don't get picked, they just come in for the selection process because our system doesn't work without it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Correct.
So please, you come in and we do appreciate it. And to be honest, I think if you do get picked, you're going to turn out, it was a positive experience for you, and you're going to be like, I'm glad I did it. I think I can guarantee, but I can almost guarantee you'll probably think that when you're done with it.
And I can certainly understand, you know, some people being like, oh, I've been on a jury like 3 or 4 times. I'm tired of doing it.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate those people for being willing to do that. And, you know, but we hope that people are willing to do it.
Absolutely.
And we thank those that really are and really give the time.
I think you'll get a better perspective of the world by serving on a jury duty. So, well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
I know you got 100 things to do, and anytime we'd love to see you guys back, and we'll see you next month, if not sooner. Good deal. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, 9 o'clock, actually 9:01. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico. News in progress.
Crews have set about the monumental
And good
chore
morning.
of
It
removing
is
twisted
22
steel
minutes
and
after 8 o'clock.
concrete. Moore says
And
one of
good
the
morning. It
priorities
is 22
reopening the
minutes
crucial
after
port
8
of
o'clock,
Baltimore,
and joining us
one of the
in the
nation's
studio now. I
busiest.
guess technically,
This is not just impacting this is
your
impacting the
district attorney
farmer
for the
in
5th
Kentucky.
Judicial District.
It's
I know.
impacting the
And-
auto
yeah.
dealer in Ohio. It's impacting the restaurant in Louisiana and in Tennessee. This is impacting the entire country.
More on Fox News Sunday. 4 construction workers unaccounted for, presumed dead in the aftermath of Tuesday's bridge collapse. The eatery in Nashville's Salemtown neighborhood was packed with people enjoying Easter Sunday brunch. 2 men started arguing. One of them pulled a gun. And when the shooting was over,
8 persons were transported from the scene. 1 of them deceased. 5 others confirmed gunshot victims. 1 other with a scratch, the cause of which we're not sure at this point. And then 1 person who wanted to go to the hospital due to a panic attack.
and now there's a manhunt underway. Nashville police spokesman Don Aaron telling WTBF that they're hunting for 46-year-old Anton Rucker, who police say has a previous criminal record. Watching Wall Street, stocks are mixed this morning. The Dow is down 145 points, while the NASDAQ is up 91. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Germany has legalized marijuana, hoping to put a significant dent in the lucrative black market trade in the drug.
Adults can now carry up to 25 grams of cannabis for personal use. That's enough for dozens of joints. People can also grow up to 3 marijuana plants at home, but smoking the drug within 100 meters of schools or sports centers is forbidden. As of July, not-for-profit cannabis social clubs can be set up to grow and distribute the drug. Club members cannot be tourists or visitors. They must live in Germany. The new rules are contentious, partly because of health concerns, but there's also disagreement over whether the changes will curb or further fuel the black market.
The BBC's Jessica Parker. Pakistani officials say the bodies of 5 Chinese nationals killed last week in a suicide bombing in northwestern Pakistan have been flown to Beijing. They died as they were heading to the site of a Chinese hydropower project where they worked. Townhall.com. Most California fast food workers now earned at least $20 an hour.
A new law mandating the minimum wage increase for fast food employees effective Monday. The increase has been cheered by workers and unions who say it will provide a livable wage. But some business owners say it will cause them to raise their prices or simply lay off workers. California's minimum wage for most other jobs has doubled to $16 per hour over the last decade. Jason Walker reporting.
Traffic moving only intermittently after a stretch of California's scenic Highway 1 collapsed during an Easter weekend storm. forcing closures and stranding motorists near Big Sur. The collapse of the coastal route occurred amid rain Saturday afternoon near Rocky Creek Bridge south of Monterey. It sent chunks of asphalt tumbling into the ocean from the southbound side of the two-lane road. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2. Deuces. Mornings with Mike Winters right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Monday. Post Easter weekend.
Indeed. We're all egged out.
Yeah.
I would say this is the best time of year.
I'll say this is a Easter candy on sale day.
That's right. It's half off Easter candy day. Although I did buy way more than my fair share of candy this year, so
Yeah.
I'm not hurting for it right now.
You still have a good smattering. I might have to do a quick scope of the Cadbury eggs and
browse around,
stock up a little bit because, I don't have. I still have my 2 Cadbury eggs left that I haven't eaten yet. But my Reese's eggs, I had a bag of those little mini ones. Are gone. I consumed those. But
I think I need to go on a Peeps run this week to. I have a buddy in town, Ronnie. He is the only human being I've ever known who seeks out Peeps outside of this time of year. Like, he loves Peeps. It's like his favorite candy. So I tried to put together a little Peeps care package.
send them to the dollar store.
Yeah?
Because now I was there pre-Easter a week ago.
Pre-Easter?
Yes. And it was the one down by the mall. The one there by Maurice's, because that's my wife is shopping at Maurice's.
Up by the mall.
Yeah, up by the mall. Excuse me. Up, down. You know where I'm saying. You know, whether the direction is. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But by the mall. She was in there shopping for ladies' clothes. So I go hang out in the dollar store and walk around and find things and end up spending like $20 in there on dollar store things.
And that's because you're in the dollar store, a man with a 20 is king.
That's right.
You're just
Come
like,
out of there.
I rule over everything I survey.
That's right. I need a basket.
A basket that I can't even take out of the store.
That's right.
That pull.
That's right. You can spot me down aisle 7, 12, or 5. But, so I go through there, and I remember they had racks of Peeps in various flavors.
Yeah.
And that's where I saw the Dr. Pepper Peeps, which I've not had, but I'm not a Peeps guy. So.
I will say, of the regular Peeps, like the ones that aren't dipped in some form of chocolate, the sour watermelon ones were the best flavor-wise.
Okay. See, I'm not a Peeps guy.
I'm not really either.
So
I'm not a marshmallow
I've
guy.
eaten Peeps, but past that, I couldn't really say I've eaten. I love snowballs, weirdly enough.
Yeah, I can't stand snowballs.
I like those. I like the cake and the marshmallow, the chocolate cake with the marshmallow. To me, is a good combo.
I got chastised because I didn't like the Mexican version of those.
Yeah.
I had a friend bring me like a bunch of them. And I'm like, I don't like marshmallow. And she's like, what's wrong with you?
Well, and this is something I've noticed, like, especially with like Mexican Cokes and things like that. The sugar cane tastes different to me in Mexican sweets than it does in American sweets. And I'm not a fan.
Like, see, I totally am.
See, I'm not like when the times I've gone to Mexico and stuff, I've not been an enjoyer of their Coke products.
Well, the Coke specifically. So
and I don't think I've had Pepsi, but I've had Cokes and Diet Cokes and all that.
And the candy and stuff, too.
I've had some candy, and it's fine, but it's particularly the sodas that really don't jive with me in those. I just don't. I guess I'm used to just the Americanized version.
You're a child of the 80s.
Yeah.
You come from artificial flavoring.
I do. I absolutely do.
It makes sense. I understand. High fructose corn syrup is delicious.
I do. I prefer fake things.
There's something about it. There's also the drinking out of a glass bottle. That's pretty awesome. One of the coolest parts, we went to Gomez Palacio in Mexico on a mission trip. This was when I was in high school. And we were pouring the concrete foundation for a church. So that was our day labor. Just down the road from this, and we were in this like little village. It was like all these like places that could be a house, might be a store.
Right.
So you pop into this one place, and for 10 pesos, you could get a soda.
Okay.
Then you bring the bottle back, and you get 8 pesos back.
Right.
So you could I was basically just like
get 2-cent sodas.
2-cent sodas all day, or
Yeah.
20 cents essentially, because it was 2 pesos.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the best thing ever until you're like, wait a second, I'm bringing these bottles back. Are they washing them before they refill them? Or they send them back to the bottling plant? and
All
they
Cokes
sanitize
were
them?
like that back in the day. You
Right.
get your Cokes in the glass, and then you get the bottles, and you buy the 12-pack or whatever it is of them, and then you take the crate back with the empty bottles, and you get a $1 back or something, and buy more sodas.
Yep. You just reminded me of something. I made a purchase over the weekend that has not yet arrived. It is set to arrive sometime this week, and if it does, I'm going to have something for you to try.
Okay.
All
right.
I procured a 6-pack of Iron Brew.
Oh, okay.
You ever had it?
No.
So it's like I can't remember if it's German or like Austrian. It's one of those countries, and it's like unique to that country. Like you can't get it anywhere in the States except for like specialty shops.
Okay.
I've only ever had it one
it a
time
beer?
before. No, it's soda. It's it's like a soda, but it's called Iron Brew.
Okay.
It's just known for like having it's a really popular brand over there, but it's also they do really like weird commercials.
Okay.
It's the whole.
So is it more
rabbit hole
cola-like
to
or a
explain.
fruity soda?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I had one. It's really hard to explain. It's kind of medicinal.
Yeah.
Like it has kind of a medicine shop flavor.
Have you seen those commercials for these fruit sodas out now that they're trying to basically compete with Coke and Pepsi? And they're basically saying, still think soda's a 4-letter word, not with ours.
Is
And
that the new Bubbly Burst or whatever?
Yeah, and it's a I can't remember the name of the company.
Actually,
but-
no. I think the one you're talking about is it's the one Kim Kardashian backs. Or
Is it? I have
behind,
no
yeah.
idea. But the commercial I saw was like there's this cherry soda, and they're saying it without saying it. That it says they're basically saying if you like Dr. Pepper, here's Dr. Pepper without all the badness of Dr. Pepper or the sugars and all the others.
I haven't seen that one specifically, but
Yeah.
these ones that they're coming out with are now like probiotic.
Okay.
Like there was one that it's again that same brand.
Yeah.
Something pop. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it's got it's sweetened with like artificial like stevia and stuff like that. But it's also got apple cider vinegar in it.
Okay.
And honestly, you couldn't tell.
Okay.
I couldn't tell. But
Well, I'm oddly curious. I'll try one when I get one. I'm not going to buy a 12-pack, but like if there's a single.
That's the other thing is though, just for a single can of those is like $2.49.
Is it?
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
So you're paying for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I try one just to see, like, okay,
Yeah.
is it truly comparable to a Coke product?
Right.
Or Dr.
I don't think you could blind taste test it, but is it something that would fill the void?
Exactly.
Scratch
That's
the
what I'm
itch.
saying. Like if the benefit's so great, is the taste close enough that I'd accept it as a substitute?
Right.
And I'd be willing to try that. I'll take the Pepsi challenge there to see if that's worthy of it. I ain't gonna lie, it'd be hard pressed for me to switch outright because I am pretty cemented in, and I've been doing it for close my whole life. So
That being said, I'm always one of those people that's like, ooh, it's a new variant on something. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try it, just to see. But then I also have the problem of I get hooked on the variant and they take it away from me.
Yeah. There's a few things
Then I'm
that
left-
over the years that always and I'm still salty to this day about this one. Like about 15 years ago, Walmart used to sell these chicken. It was chicken wrapped in bagel dough. And so
Ooh.
it was like almost a bagel dough chicken hot pocket
right.
thing. and you just pop in the oven for, I don't know, 10 minutes or whatever, and you had these, and they were delightful. It was, but for whatever reason, the company or whoever, and they disappeared.
Was it their brand or was it a different brand?
It was a different brand,
Okay.
but I've only seen it in Walmart, so it wasn't like Sam's Choice or whatever Walmart's brand is.
Great Value used to have, and maybe they still do in some markets, but they used to have a peach soda that they sold here that was very close to knee-high, and
Okay.
then they just took it away.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it since.
Yeah. Well, and like Utz chips.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was such a mean tease for me where they were carrying some Utz chips for a while.
Yeah.
And ever since then, like it teases me on the app because I'll look through my app as we're doing grocery shopping, and I'll look and it'll show me those Utz chips with the big cloud.
Have you ever tried
not available?
Oh, okay.
Not available. Not available.
Dang
I'm like,
it.
oh,
Because a lot of times you can just order them from Walmart.com and have them delivered site to store.
Well, and in all fairness, I could actually go to Utz and get them from Utz.
There you go. But it's also more expensive.
For me, half the adventure is walking on the shelf and seeing Utz on the shelf.
You're old school though. You're a product of you like the shopping experience, like you like channel surfing.
Well, and a case of Utz doesn't like. Then I go too much of it, and you know what I mean. Like I just want to buy a bag of chips and put it on the shelf, and I don't want to have to go online and procure a chips by the case to have Utz. I'm like, I don't want a case of Utz. I just want a bag of chips in the thing from time to time. I don't have to plan and store and keep, a storage facility just for Utz because I want a bag of Utz, but I only can order them at a case at a time.
Yeah, it is a hassle. When you fall in love with something, you got to order it in bulk.
Yeah.
And then just go.
And then I feel like I
Honestly,
have to eat it at a regular pace, and I'm like, I'm tired of chips right now.
You're a man of a specific set of means.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you could procure, if not like I know you already have one, a garage fridge, like an extra garage fridge just for snacks.
Mm-hmm. And that's right. That's kind of my soda fridge.
What I would suggest better, off-site storage. I'm just saying there's plenty of self-storage in Roswell. Go get yourself a storage shelter, preferably one with electricity, so you can plug in to keep your snacks fresh. And then you've got off-site snack storage. Think of the space you'll save. And the snacks you can hoard, my friend.
But that does sound creepy to use. I'm going to the storage unit to stock up on chips.
It sounds like the creepiest thing on the planet. But as I'm saying it, I'm leaning more and more towards doing that myself because it's genius.
Well, and I already know what's going to happen next. Because after the refrigerator shows up, a couch will show up, and some kind of.
So you're building a man cave. That's all that's happening.
That's what's going to happen. I just go there and sit on the couch in the storage unit eating chips and Cokes for
2 months from then. Kim's just knocking on the garage door like, Mike.
Why is he listening to a baseball game on an old school transistor radio? Because that's the best signal I get in here.
He was playing Kill 'Em All on an inflatable guitar. He found his home. Yeah, I'm basically suggesting that you build a man cave. No, just as somebody who, when I was married, I had to learn to like weird snacks because otherwise it would just get eaten.
Right.
So like that was my plan is I just liked weird stuff. Your plan should just be off-site storage.
Yeah.
That way you can still love what you love.
Well, and it's not that I'm storing it away from people. It's not like my wife's in there taking all my stash of things.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I feel like if I've got cases of chips, I've got to do something with them. And
yes.
I don't want...
Eat them.
I know, but I don't want to eat cases of chips at a time. One bag will do me, and then I'm good for a while.
Sure.
And I'll have some more. But now I feel like, I've got to go, especially then I can't waste one chip because I've just bet, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It adds way too much responsibility in my life for something I don't want responsibility.
So what you need to do is work up a spreadsheet so you can figure out the number of bags of chips you need to consume every day for this plan to be viable.
Right.
Mike, we're doing this. Just picture a forklift pallet of Utz chips getting dropped at your door.
All right. Well, it sounds like need to get Mr. Beast involved. That's the way it's starting to turn into a Mr. Beast bit. But I watched one of his last week about some guy living in a grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
And he got like $10,000 a day for every day he lived in the grocery store. And at first it sounds easy, right? But then he throws in rules like he's got to give back $10,000 worth of grocery store stuff every day. So, he lives in the grocery store, and the store's filled with a full grocery. He bought a grocery store. But this one almost had, little Walmart-like stuff because there was a couple TVs and things. So basically, to get his $10,000, he had to give back $10,000 worth of product, which Mr. Beast would donate to charities or whatever.
Right.
So like day one, he's like going through. It's like, okay, these are TVs and stuff. They're not useful to me. Here's $10,000, and then it's like, okay, I'm not eating. These are all diapers and stuff. I don't need that. Here's $10,000 worth of diapers. You know, but then it got to a point where he's like, we're cutting the power. And then, so he's losing frozen
it's
food.
It's not hard enough for you.
Yeah, so he's frozen. So now he's like, all right, well, here's $10,000 in frozen food that I either have to eat or it's going to go bad. So,
right.
And so by the time, I think he ends up spending like 40 some days in there, and he gets close to like $500,000 after all said and done. But it was just interesting to see, you know, what they take away and kind of the and he's pretty ingenuitive. Like he creates showers and he creates a whole little world for himself there.
See, you're still kind of in the early days of Beast World, like back when he was kind of doing things on the
and
smaller
I was
scale.
just something I was scrolling through and saw it and watched it. You know, it was literally online. Somewhere.
He set up, and this was last year. He set up a full-blown Squid Game.
Oh, did he?
He got shut down because like a bunch of people got like hurt, like
Sued.
dehydrated. And I think at some point sexually assaulted. But the thing is, so it got shut down.
That's surprising.
And now he's actually in the process of making a whole new game.
Okay.
It's going to be on, I think they said it's on Amazon. I think. And it's basically the contest is, I think it's like 1,000 people compete for a $5 million top prize.
Wow.
It's the biggest prize in game show history.
Okay.
So,
well, good for him.
Here's to see how it plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, is Rick our only
Yeah,
guest here? Is nobody else? From a health council or anything?
No.
All right. Well, then we're just going to go with Rick.
There you go.
Rick Lamb with Boys and Girls Club going to join us here in just a bit. He'll give us an update on what's going on there and talk a little bit about what they're up to. And if Joanne and them show up from, hiccups, from the health council, we'll get them going here. But before we do any of that, let's get you up to date on the weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Very gusty wind today. We have cold front moving through. Wind at 40 to 50 miles per hour. Our afternoon high in the upper 60s to about 70, and we do have a slim chance of a shower. Overnight, gusty wind continues. We'll drop to about 40 on the low under clear skies. And then on Tuesday, maybe a light shower, mix of sun and clouds, and a lot cooler. We'll stay in the low 60s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Oh, hold on. Thank you, Steve. Currently 52 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 45% with winds out of the northwest at 5 miles per hour. For today, they have issued a red flag warning from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. this evening. Also a high wind warning today from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. this evening. Is this really our weather? This is our weather. Like, this is not the same weather I was looking at earlier today. Now they're talking like a 40% chance of rain for us today. Patchy blowing dust. Mostly sunny with a high of 69 today, but the winds will be out of the west, 15 to 25 early, picking up 25 to 35, gusting as high as 50 miles per hour. And we're also looking at that 40% chance of showers today. Tonight, patchy blowing dust before 8, mostly clear with an overnight low of 42. Winds will remain blowing out of the west, 20 to 30, gusting as high as 45 miles per hour. Winds will drop down 10 to 20 after midnight tonight. Tuesday, partly cloudy, 63 for a high with north winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Wednesday, sunny and 74, northwest winds at around 5 miles per hour. Thursday, sunny and 79. So gradually warming as the week progresses, 60, 7 now we're pushing 80 by about Thursday. Friday, 82 and breezy. And then looking at the weekend, 73 and breezy Saturday, patchy blowing dust and all that fun stuff. And then sunny and 75 on Sunday. All right, it is 8:24. We're going to take a 2.5-minute break, and then Rick will join us here from Boys and Girls Club. Don't go away.
Innovation, service, integrity, and knowledge. J.S. Ward & Son Insurance Agency. Auto and home, life and health, personal and commercial. Bonds too, since 1925. We have the coverage for you. Innovation Station service, integrity and knowledge. J.S. Ward and Son Insurance Agency.
To plant or not to plant? That is the question. Hi, this is Jim Gill from Roswell Seed Company. Our tomato plants and pepper plants are ready to go. If you plant them now, you might have homegrown tomatoes and peppers before anyone else, or the frost might kill them. As Clint Eastwood would say, do you feel lucky? You'll either be the smartest gardener in the county, or you'll get to replant them all over again. I say go for it. You'll get more practice and we'll get more business. This is Jim Gill from Roswell Seed Company, and I apologize to William Shakespeare.
Attention Roswell, Carlsbad, Artesia, and all of southeast New Mexico. The University of New Mexico wants you. UNM is ranked in the top 1.5% of all universities in the world, and the only Research One university in New Mexico, with over 200 academic programs and endless opportunities. UNM is truly a world-class university. Define your future at the University of New Mexico, and UNM has increased the number of scholarships for 2021, so now is the time to apply. Apply today at unm.edu. Now accepting applications from Southeast New Mexico.
Sign up today for the 2-day Reload Camp with Coach Tom George, Saturday and Sunday, April 13th and 14th in Artesia, New Mexico.
The goal of Reload is to take our camp to locations that don't always have a lot of opportunities.
The 2-day Reload Camp is for all ages, all positions, and features college, NFL, and local coaches.
They do it because they want to impact young people. I'm not saying every professional and college coach is like that, but the ones that come to my camp are, because I don't have it any other way.
Saturday and Sunday, April 13th and 14th in Artesia, New Mexico. Sign up today at QBimpact.com.
Artesia, it's back. Red Zone 2024 is coming Saturday, April 13th to the Bulldog Pit, featuring a night with 2024 Rookie of the Year and two-time Heisman Trophy finalist C.J. Stroud. Doors open at 6 p.m. Event begins at 7. Tickets are free of charge, but you must have one to enter. Free tickets can be picked up beforehand at the Artesia Chamber of Commerce. Red Zone 2024 featuring C.J. Stroud is a presentation of myashley.org. For free tickets and more information about Red Zone 2024, please contact the Artesia Chamber of Commerce.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Turtles can breathe through their butts. We imagine you know some people who do that too, because that's where their heads reside. Here's Mike Winters.
Would be a handy skill to have. Good morning. It is 27 minutes. You never know. That comes in handy. It's 27 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, actually wearing a couple hats this morning.
That's right.
His Chaves County Health Council hat and his Boys and Girls Club hat here. Rick Lamb back with us. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing good. How about yourself?
It's another beautiful day.
It is. Hopefully the wind will, we can use the rain. I'll never take away the rain, but we don't need the wind and everything else that goes with it.
Well, it's just the annual migration of dirt from New Mexico to Texas.
That's right.
So we've got to make sure that it gets over there safely.
Dirt trading days.
That's right. Exactly.
But for folks not familiar, of course, you've been on multiple times just promoting everything that goes on in Boys and Girls Club here for I say Roswell, but really kind of covers southeast New Mexico here. We kind of focus more on some of the stuff here in the Roswell, but really it all, Ruidoso, Eddy County, it kind of covers it all there. So, and then of course a health council as well for folks. If you're not familiar, the Chaves County Health Council is an organization that anything really healthcare related for Roswell. Probably the biggest tentpole things you know them for is the 211 hotline, which is a hotline that you can call here if you live in Chaves County. And it's not an emergency hotline. So if you got a medical emergency, call 911. Yes. But if you're new to town or you're just looking for resources for healthcare or resources to the Department of Health, and or if you need like WIC or any of these kind of assistance, or if you have family members on the spectrum and you're looking for healthcare options for them here, 211 is a hotline number that you can call and get those kind of resources, questions answered. It's not a 24/7 hotline, so please don't call at 2 a.m. Joanne will get a little salty. But during like business hours and things, you can call and help there. Other big thing that most people know the Health Council for is the big annual back to school health fair they always do right around back to school time in August here, which they'll be doing again here in a couple months and all that. But there's a lot going on in between those times too, that we want to go talk about. One of the ones we really want to kind of put on people's radar here is there's a forum for everyone really, but particularly for veterans as you guys as a health counselor, trying to gather and learn more resources and try to basically let's get a bunch of other people together in the room and let's find, let's see if we can find additional resources, learn from each other on what is available for veterans in really our community and things like that. What we're missing, what we need, what we could use more of. It's really, and what we already have that maybe people don't know we have already. So it's really a combination of all that. So give the details on the dates and times and all that good stuff.
So the SWOT analysis, which for people who don't know, SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
There you go. Okay.
So strengths and weaknesses, that's in Chavez County. So what are the strengths of Chavez County? What do we offer veterans? What don't we offer veterans? Where are our weaknesses at? And then outside of Chavez County, of course, is opportunities and threats. And once again, what are those opportunities that help us here? But what are those threats that could potentially hurt us in the process as well?
Sure.
So this is going on April 6th. So it's literally this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It's 11:30 to 2 p.m. and it's over at American Legion Post 28 over on Montana.
Yes, absolutely. And the cool part is you really don't have excuses for not going. Like if you need childcare, things like that, they're going to have some people available to do that. There's food and beverage if you'd like to have that involved. But they do ask you RSVP so they can have enough food and everything. But I don't think there's a cost or anything. Is
No,
there?
there's absolutely no
free.
cost for anybody. Everything is free, including childcare. And basically, we just ask jump onto our Facebook page, Chavez County Together with Veterans, and real quickly just sign up.
Yeah.
Once you sign up, it just gives us a number of who's actually going to be there.
Absolutely, but it's really come for the camaraderie and the food and all that. But really, we want to learn, and we also want you to learn. So it really is a brainstorming session. Like you said, we're covering these different points here, but we're trying to. It's like information gathering. What we know that we can present, what we don't know that maybe we can learn more about, and see the real holes in gaps in what services are being provided and things like that. And this really, that's kind of what this event is all about is learning and giving and receiving information on for particularly for veteran issues and resources for veterans. And that's what this is all about.
Correct. And you don't have to be a veteran to come. The big thing is, do you care about the veterans that we have in Chavez County? And do you want to find a way to help them? This is a great way to be able to do that so that we can find out what are those things that veterans need around here. One thing that Together with Veterans does, they took it over from the Health Council. If you're a veteran, you actually get to ride the shuttle in Roswell for free.
Oh, nice.
All you need to do is have an ID that shows that you're
Proof
a
of veteran status.
or DD-214, one of the two. Free rides, doesn't matter.
For a tip for veterans out there, because I'm about to do this next time my driver's license gets renewed. If you bring your DD-214 with you when you do your driver's license renewal, they can put a veteran status on your driver's license, and basically it puts a V on there. And that serves as a veteran's ID. They have to accept it when you show it as proof of veteran status. That is an acceptable form. They have to accept it by law because of, it's a driver's license.
Yeah. What it says on there is correct.
Yeah. So, but next time you need, or if you want to, don't want to wait, get your driver's license renewed. Bring your DD-214 with you. And you can get that veteran status. Same thing if you want to get veterans plates or whatever. Like I have those in my car, but same kind of process. You bring your DD-214 with you to the DMV or MVD in this case for New Mexico, and you can get that done too. But that way you have something, because I know some people, like if you're a retiree, you got a veterans retiree card. But if you just served 4 years or whatever, you're a veteran. But you really, because you've separated, you don't really have a need to be on a base or anything, so there's no other than your actual DD-214, and no one really carries that around with them all the time because they're a very valuable document. Once they're lost, they're hard to replace, and so they really put the fear of God in veterans on DD-214.
They really do, don't they?
Yeah, they do, because they make it sound like if you lose it, good luck getting another one.
It is definitely a difficult process, that's for certain.
So, but just a tip for veterans out there, make copies of that and keep. That's what I do. I have about 15 copies I keep in my important paper drawers and stuff like that, because you never know. Anytime, especially if you're applying for loans and things like that, you never know when you need to bust out a copy of that thing. But definitely keep that, get that. That's just a tip I recommend. And another thing, too, if you need to talk to the county clerk's office, if you're a resident of Chavez County and you're a veteran, you can get the discount on your property taxes.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of filling out a form and turning it into the clerk's office, and you're good to go. So
see, that's something I didn't know. There's a good way to save some money.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the kind of stuff you can learn at the event for veterans. And then stuff too, if you offer, like maybe you have resources for veterans that isn't on the radar of the public or anything. This is what this is for, is it's a resource for veterans to learn and to give information, and for the people that provide these services to learn and to gather information. It's really a community. It's like, hey, how are we doing? What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? What can we do better? What are we doing good at? That's what this meeting's all about, is to kind of say, all right, what's our issues? What's our threats? What's our weaknesses? What's our strengths? And let's make all of them better.
Well, and it really comes down to, how do we prevent veteran suicide? It's getting worse and worse. It's on the rise. And this is a great way for us to be able to find out how we can do that more.
Absolutely. The standard number for a long time was 22 a day. And I don't know officially yet, but
still about the same.
That number is not declining. It's going closer to 23 than 21. Yeah. So it's all about resource, and veterans are a unique group in this type of thing, because, and I'm not saying every single veteran's one of these, but it's not uncommon to see veterans as more of the stubborn, self-sufficient type people that generally aren't receptive of help. You literally have to beat that over their head before they finally say, fine, I'll take your help. I'm not saying every veteran's like this, but just because the nature of what a veteran, the training that they were given, the type of work they did while serving in the military, there's certain ways that you cope and deal with those types of things, and it creates a personality for veterans sometimes. Yeah. So when veterans are very much, and again, I'm just lumping as a general, not everyone's like this, but generally speaking, stereotyping here, veterans are stubborn people that generally do not like help. Like, they're people that I can do it myself. I got it. I've been trained. I can take care of it. Because military people by training are being the protectors, the ones that do the things for that cannot do it themselves.
Yep.
That's part of military mindset. So for a military member to accept help, in their head also accepts that they're vulnerable, and therefore they don't want that out in the public. And so that's why they're a little more stubborn. But once you crack through that armor a little bit, then you'll see that they're humans just like everybody else. But it's a little harder to get them there sometimes. So
it really is.
That's why meetings like this are so important. And we always say, all right, veteran, I get it. Yeah, I know I've chewed some of the same dirt you have. I get what you're thinking, but this ain't like that.
Yeah.
Suck it up and let's do it. And veterans need that sometimes.
Yes, it's true. We need a little bit more straightforward, that's for certain.
So I want to highly recommend, so if you know veterans and, encourage them to come, bring them with you to this meeting. Yeah. Come and have lunch. It is American Legion. If those 21 and older want to enjoy adult beverage, you can do that too while you're there as well. But
and the nice thing is we're going to give you 2 for free.
Oh, nice.
So if you're 21 or older, you're going to get 1 at the beginning.
Nice.
And then once you finish the whole analysis part, we're going to give you another one.
All right.
That little incentive to stick around for the
Just
whole
start
process.
with veterans free beer. Come on up. It's like, what's the rest of it? I don't know. He said free beer. Let's go. But so for those obviously 21 and older and all that, but please come out and come. Think of this as really just it's a brainstorming session. Yep. It's a forum of talking, and we want you to share your information, and likewise we want to give you some too.
That's right.
Please make plans to attend. Make it a social thing. Come and get a meal. Bring your buddies, bring your Army buddies or your friends from the neighborhood. And like you said earlier, you don't have to be a veteran or any associated veterans if you just have an interest in this type of stuff, or maybe, and here's the thing about veterans. It's like cancer. You all know a veteran, whether it's a family member or you yourself or, and so I'm sure there's loved ones that you want to see, do better and have better things. And if you want to support that, then come to this meeting.
Exactly.
And especially if you have the veterans in your family, that was kind of like what I was talking about earlier. It's like, oh, that's stupid. You know what I mean? That the glass half empty mindset.
They're the salty ones.
Yes, the super salty. You can be a little bit of a Sherpa for them on that
exactly
kind of stuff. So, but again, that's coming up this Saturday. At American Legion Post 28 there on Montana. I don't remember the actual address. It's
1620 North Montana.
There it is. That's you can't miss it. It's right there. If you go, depending on where you're coming from, it's not too far from the adult center and all that stuff.
No,
it's all right
really
in
close.
that same little stretch of road there. And so you can't, and that's pretty much all that's out there. A few houses, open field, and then there's American Legion, there's the adult center, and it's kind of hard to
it really
pass
is a little hard to miss.
But once you're there and come and enjoy. What time's everything getting underway on Saturday?
Starts at 11:30 and it goes till 2.
Good deal. So get there a few minutes before 11:30 to get you a good spot and smell out the vittles and all that good stuff.
Taco truck.
Yeah. Ooh, tacos.
That's right.
Tacos and beer.
That's right. See? Great combo right there.
That's going to be a good Saturday. And come on out and bring a friend, bring a family, and let's all have a great discussion here and learn. And who knows what great things are going to come from this, because I think everyone's going to learn something or take away something. But I'm also going to say from something, I guess we're going to find there's a big gap in something somewhere, and it's like, you know what? Why is that not being done? Let's put the ball in motion and let's get that going here. And that's what this meeting's all about.
Exactly.
So, good deal. Let's you want to shift gears, or do we got more health council stuff, or do you want to shift gears?
The only big thing I just want to point out is, for this, please, go to our Facebook page or even call 211.
Yes.
You can call them, get yourself signed up so we know who's coming.
There is a phone number you can call to RSVP, and it's on the flyer, but just call 211.
Yeah,
it's
real
3
simple.
digits, and then it does the exact same thing. And and it's really easy to remember. So call 211, say, hey, I heard them talking about the veterans deal this Saturday. I'd like to be a part of that.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
They'll get you signed up and take your name and how many is coming, and they'll be appreciative. That way you know how many tacos to get ready.
Exactly.
Because ain't nothing worse than going to a taco thing and you're the one that the tacos run out on.
It's true. It's true. Don't be that person.
Exactly. But that's coming up again this Saturday. American Legion Post 28 there on Montana. Everything gets underway about 11. You'll be done at 2:00.
Yep.
And come hungry and come ready. Come with ideas and come ready to hear some.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That being said, if you noticed, for those watching the video, he's got his Boys and Girls Club shirt on. That's his day job.
That's right.
And, of course, you guys have been pretty busy over at Boys and Girls Club, too.
We are trying very hard, and I'm really excited. We're going to start having middle schoolers this summer.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, so 1st through 8th grade is officially this summer. We are going to be accepting them.
Good.
We've got a whole different program going on. Some of the stuff will line up, like the different week themes, and some of them don't. But even still, they're going to have their own little area. They're going to be doing their own things. It's going to be a pretty exciting thing.
Boys and Girls Club, for those not familiar, is a great opportunity for your children. And like you said, from elementary up to middle school, even into high school.
Yep.
With activities and opportunities. Think of it as a great place for your children to get a lot of the ancillary stuff that sometimes they miss in school.
Yeah.
Boys and Girls Club, it's as the older they get, the more leadership they take into the activities and curriculum for Boys and Girls Club. So through that, they're learning leadership and management and those skills that someday will translate to, if they want to own their own business or be a boss in any level, way, shape, or form in a career, that will help them that. But also the social side of it, making friends and getting peers their own age and right around there in their groups. And plus it can meet, kids from outside of their school and stuff, because now you got kids from all over town, not just from their middle school or their elementary school. So they get to broaden that a little bit. And of course, it's great for parents because your work schedules and it's like, oh man, I can't incorporate my lifestyle and getting everything that my child needs at the same time. You got to be at work. I can't. This is where Boys and Girls Club can kind of be that guide and help you do some of that stuff too. So, I work every day, but my kid gets off at 3:30. What am I supposed to do? Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a place where, guess what? By the way, the first thing they do is work on homework and things when they get there. So, but I know that my child is safe and is also doing what they should be doing in the next level here, getting that education.
Exactly.
But at the same time, having fun and doing all these things that they don't realize they're learning stuff in. And that's, but that's what Boys and Girls Club, it really is a tool, an excellent tool for your child to get a lot of the things that they're going to need to be adults and do it in a fun way, but do it in a way they don't even realize. It's like Boys and Girls Club serves that same role as church groups and scouting and many other youth sports and things like that. I get it. Not every kid wants to play soccer or baseball. Not every kid wants to be a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout. Not every kid wants to be in a church group. This really gives them an opportunity to do those things that maybe these don't necessarily jive to them or you do. And the great part is the resources and things are very affordable.
Yeah.
But also work around your schedule and things for you. That's Boys and Girls Club is designed, and the schedule is designed to provide things during times when parents are normally not available.
Yeah.
And that's really what Boys and Girls Club. So it's kind of as an additional tool for you as a parent to help do your job as parenting your children.
It's true, and it's a Monday through Friday thing. So, once we get into school, of course, we'll downshift on exactly what middle schools we're picking up from. Of course, we pick up from 8 different elementary schools across the city already.
And that's grown a lot. I remember like probably around when you first moved into the Boys and Girls Club here in this part of our world. I think there's only a couple schools you were servicing at that time, and now it's
we
already
were still
expanded.
doing 8 at that time, but before then, it has grown over time.
Yeah.
But
like transportation things has expanded and all that. The program has really grown leaps and bounds over the last couple of years here. Obviously, for folks that aren't familiar, a huge investment right around pre-COVID, was put in the facilities of Boys and Girls Club. So in case you haven't been there in a couple of years, it's a whole new facility.
That's right.
The beautiful facility. So it's everything your children want. We got the staff and the programming and everything. And by the way, pretty nice facility to do it all in.
It's true.
Yeah, if you grew up in Boys and Girls Club in Roswell, it's a little bit different than when you grew up.
It is. We still love the sports. We still love the game time and all of those. But we want to do, we call them high yield activities. And so this is a way for kids to have fun, but learn at the exact same time. A lot of the STEM stuff that we do is huge high yield activities. We brought in Sphero Bolt. I don't know if you've ever heard of those before. So for all the nerds out there, the newer Star Wars 7, 8, and 9 BB-8, and Disney and Sphero actually teamed up and created BB-8 out of a Sphero Bolt.
Okay.
But one of the staff members was drawing her name the other day with one of those Sphero Bolts.
That is so cool.
It is. The technology is expanding like crazy, and all the fun things you get to do with it. It's a blast. It's fun.
It's an opportunity to get your kids' foot in the door in these kind of things, to find new interests and find their passions.
Exactly.
If you have a child that is, like you said, kind of looking for direction, looking, what interests, I don't know, interests include, watch it, you know what I mean? And you're like, I want to expose my kid to what this world has to offer. Yeah. Boys and Girls Club can do that and give them this taste of things. And it's like, you know what? Because of Boys and Girls Club, my kid wants to be a graphic designer now, or because of they learned something in Boys and Girls Club, now they found their dream passions and careers, and that's what it's Boys and Girls Club is really a whole lot like throwing as much stuff at the wall and see what sticks for your kids. That's really what Boys and Girls expose your kids to as many opportunities as possible and see what they gravitate towards and what they like, and not everything's going to be a winner.
No,
there's going to be something your kid's like, it's boring. Okay, I get it. Let's try something else then.
Exactly,
and that's what Boys and Girls Club is, a economical and cool way for you to kind of play the field with your kid and find out what they're into and what they like and what let them shape what they're going to be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. And it'll start in the Boys and Girls Club facility. That's
exactly.
A lot of time is there. So please, if you're looking for things for your children to get more involved in, to be more well-rounded individuals, Boys and Girls Club can help out with that.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Oh, yeah. The middle school program, I know that one week that's pretty cool is it's a home economics week. So they're going to learn how to cook. They're going to learn how to do laundry. They're going to learn first aid, like out in the field first aid, not just first aid at home. So if you're in the middle of nowhere and you break a leg, what are you going to do in that scenario?
Yeah.
So you're going to start learning some of those little tidbits that are going to help them in life.
Absolutely. And trust me, as a guy that learned a lot of that through scouting, you never know when those things come. How many times you're at a ball game or something, someone skins a knee, and guess what? You're the one that there can do the first aid, render first aid on them. And if someone breaks a leg, what things you have in your environment, you can create a splint right now so you can get them to professional medical help.
Exactly.
Here. And those are the types of things you learn through that immediate first aid. You can do a lot with things laying around. DIY first aid.
That's right.
Very, you can do a lot with a stick and some T-shirts and things to help someone medically.
Yeah, it's very true.
And it's a good skill that hopefully you never need, but is good to have in your pocket just in case, especially for folks that live in New Mexico. Let's face it, we don't live in New York City where there's a person every 3 inches from you. And, we live in rural, it's not uncommon. Every winter we hear it. Somebody up north or whatever gets in an accident or gets off the road. Next thing you know, they're stranded for a week because no one, and guess what? You got to know what to do in those situations.
True.
And so we hope to God you never need these types of things, but if you get put in that situation, it could be the difference between you surviving it and you not surviving.
It's very true.
And it's very valuable stuff. And that also leads to other stuff for your kids too. When you're showing them first aid and you're showing them, because you're showing them preparedness, thinking on their feet. And so those same skill sets translate to whatever else they're into too. If you've got them thinking that way when it comes to first aid, they're going to be thinking that way when it comes to whatever art project or whatever they're into, math report or whatever their STEM or art or wherever they go with it, they can use the same mindset to thrive there too.
It's true.
So, and that's what Boys and Girls Club's about. It gives them the critical thinking skills, the things that, whenever they're posed with a problem in life, they can look at it from a logical standpoint and say, all right, here's my options. Here's what I do. What can I do here? And other than sit there and scratch their head and say, I guess we're screwed. Let's go home.
Right.
And we live in a world where I think kids are more that way. And we've got to get them back to, things aren't going to work out sometimes in life. Things aren't going to be what they're supposed to be. And you're going to have to find a way to make it right. And,
that's very true.
And that's where Boys and Girls Club can give your children the skill sets and abilities to think on their feet and do things on their feet and be to a point where they ain't calling you every week saying, Mom, how do I do my fold my lawn? No, they can do it themselves now. Right. They got the skill set. They can do this. So and that's why boys go, and they do it in a way that's fun. That's the part. They don't realize they're learning all this ancillary stuff. They don't realize that you're preparing them for adults. They think they're just having a cool group project with their buddies, and that's really what. And that's where the passion gets. And as they get a little older, they start saying, "Oh, the light bulb moment's
this out." Yeah.
That's when they put 2 and 2 together. But when they're elementary school age, it's all about fun and just the living in the moment kind of thing.
Exactly.
So as far as signing up and registering for boys, what's probably the best way or way you recommend families kind of do that process?
They got 2 ways, actually. So you can jump onto our website. If you just Google Boys and Girls Club in Roswell, you can jump onto our website, go to the Roswell page and print out an application, get it all filled out. And then once it's filled out, you can come by the club. There is generally somebody there from 10 to 6 Monday through Friday during the school year. Or you can just come by the club. Either way, you'll get an application. Once we get that filled out and get a couple pieces of information, we'll collect the things we need to collect, and you're all signed up.
Of course, you can take a tour and stuff. If
exactly.
you want to, say, hey, I'd like to bring my kid here. Show me what you got.
Yeah.
And they'll be happy to walk you through. Obviously, of course, see it when they're in session and things. That's a good thing too, to see some activities. But do mind if they're all busy and they can't, busy. The party one's the kids. And so, but But yeah, see it in session, see it, when it's quiet and you can see everything too.
Mm-hmm.
But don't hesitate to come by and talk. And of course, if you're looking for options or need help in way, shape, or form, there's options there to, even if it's a financial stuff and all
we
that.
got scholarships available.
There's opportunities. Don't let money be the obstacle that's stopping you from doing this. If that's the only hurdle, then guess what? We'll figure that one out. We can find a way for it because the valuable fun and insight and the things your child will gain, it'll pay for itself in tenfold.
Exactly.
All that. So if you can't get your kid in because we're strapped on cash, we'll find resources for that. We can. Please don't let that be the obstacle to stop you.
Come and have a conversation.
Talk to the staff. Let's see, because we want to make sure we can give every opportunity for your kid to thrive. And we're not going to let a couple bucks stop that. But please come on by. Get the address for folks that are. I can remember the actual address. I'm like, it's right over.
It's 201 South Garden, so it's right behind the farmers market on 2nd.
Yes, you can't miss it. And but yeah, you need
building.
to put in the GPS there. It's 201 South. I never remember address. I'm always like, hey, you're on Garden or you're on Chisholm over there, but I don't know the number, Or if I'm lucky if I get the road right. Usually I get the road wrong too. But I can tell you where it's. Oh, but if it's near a food moniker, I'm like, oh, it's right by the Burger King. It's right by the McDonald's. I can do that real easy. But come and learn more about Boys and Girls Club. Come pop in on a given day and just watch the activities and stuff and let them see firsthand what's going on a daily basis at Boys and Girls Club here. And like you said, now that we're able to expand into middle schools and stuff, so some of the kids in 6th and 7th and 8th grade, there's more things, more curriculum for you too. And for some of those that are probably 4th and 5th, they're like, oh, great, now I got 3 more years of stuff. I thought I was wrapping up, and nope. 3 more years to the program.
Nope. Now we start teaching leadership skills. So
good deal. Yeah. Start to see a next level of the fruits of kind of what they've been either on purpose or accidentally learning here for the last their time here. But please come on. And then of course, don't forget this Saturday, Chaves County Health Council wants to invite all veterans, all people to come out to American Legion Post 28 this Saturday, beginning at 11 a.m. for a big forum on veterans issues. Brainstorming session. If you've got questions about veterans resources or information to share about veterans resources, or if you want to learn about veterans resources or any cocktail thereof, please come out to the meeting. RSVP by calling 211 and just say, hey, I want to come to the meeting. It'll be me and my friend or my family.
Get some information.
Give a number. And then come hungry. And then, like you said, if you got kids and everything, you're like, well, I need a babysitter, no problem. Child care will be provided. Food will be provided. All we need is for you to show up. That's right. The only thing we're missing.
Yeah.
And, of course, if you want to get involved more at the Health Council, too, come to the meeting on Saturday. There's going to be other Health Council members there. They're always looking for volunteers to serve on the Health Council. They meet. You guys meet once a month, right?
Meet once a month. I can't tell you off the top of my head exactly when we meet next.
Yeah.
But Health Council page, of course, can give you that. Or if you come on Saturday and you've got questions, we can get you those answers.
Absolutely. They're always looking because it's another group of people doing resources and things. 2-on-1. It's another many hands make less work type deal where you have folks from all walks of life, sharing their the people that are serve on the Health Council. They're business owners and community volunteers and everything, just like, of society here. And so they're always looking for more people to get involved. And,
that's right.
Especially even healthcare folks. I mean, like for folks that don't realize, the Health Council, you do a lot of stuff and the public knows about, like the back to school, the health fair and the things. But in between all that, they're really working with providers and doctors and other things about resources for trainings and things like that. Like from time to time, they'll have an expert on, I don't know, something like autism or something like that. And so they'll bring that in, and then healthcare professionals here can go and talk and learn more about that particular expertise. So really, you guys work with some of the ancillary extra training and stuff for our healthcare professionals here too. So they serve the community in providing resources, but they also serve our provider side and giving them more opportunities to expand their education too. So.
Exactly. Just like together with veterans, the Health Council, we want to help people know, where do you go?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, I just saw the time. I was like, ooh, I better put that but please come out this Saturday. 211 to RSVP, and then of course, if you have any questions about Boys and Girls Club, come on by. What's the phone number over there too?
575-550-5001.
And look for Boys and Girls Club on social media and all that, Roswell, and you'll like and follow and shoot a question, and we get back to you. So.
Exactly.
Good deal. Did we get it all, Rick?
We got it all.
Awesome. Well, thank you as always. Appreciate the visit.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you next time.
Definitely.
It is closing in on 9 o'clock. Time for Town Hall News. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico. We'll be back. Don't go away.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Former President Trump's message about the importance of secure borders seems to be resonating with, among others, some voters key to President Biden's re-election bid.
When it comes to problems at the U.S.-Mexico border, Biden portrays it as a policy dispute that Congress can fix. But a recent AP poll found 40% of Democrats and 73% of Hispanic adults disapprove of how Biden is handling border security. Rudy Menchaca, an Eagle Pass bar owner, is the type of Hispanic voter Biden is counting on. He says despite the rhetoric, he's been warming towards Trump because problems at the border are hurting business. Jennifer King, Washington.
And the former president says it's another example of the lack of respect that foreign leaders show to President Biden. Mr. Trump pointing to the Mexican president's demand for $20 billion a year in U.S. taxpayer funds for Latin America and the Caribbean. Recovery from the disastrous collapse of Baltimore's Key Bridge is proceeding on multiple tracks, according to Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who says that while the cleanup is underway, so too is the search for answers.
There needs to be an ongoing investigation as to what happened. I want that investigation to be speedy and for anyone who needs to be held accountable to be held accountable. And at the same time, we have got to get this channel opened. We have got to get commerce flowing again, and we have got to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
The Maryland governor on Fox News Sunday. After 2 weeks, Israel's military has pulled out of Gaza's largest hospital, saying the 200 terrorists were killed, along with hundreds more detained. The IDF says senior Hamas operatives are among the dead. The Israeli military also says it confiscated many weapons and also gathered valuable intelligence during the 2-week operation. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow is down 228 points, while the Nasdaq is 2 points higher, the S&P 11 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 866-755-5300. That's 866-755-5300. Again, that's 866-755-5300. Call us right now.
Amid demands by protesters for his resignation,
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said he is doing everything he can to bring hostages home in a nationally televised speech. Netanyahu spoke while thousands of protesters rallied in Jerusalem in show of frustration with his government and the war in Gaza, urging him to resign. But he said calling new elections in what he described as a moment before victory would paralyze Israel for 6 to 8 months and the ongoing hostage talks. I'm Lawrence Brooks.
The French foreign minister has pressed China on trade issues and the war in Ukraine ahead of a planned visit to France by Chinese leader Xi Jinping later in the spring. The French diplomat says European trade deficits with China and some other countries are not sustainable, speaking at a joint news conference after meeting with the Chinese foreign minister. Townhall.com. Weekend bloodshed in Ecuador, which has seen a rising tide of violence in recent months.
A government spokesman says gunmen attacked a group of people in a coastal city neighborhood Saturday night, killing 8 and wounding 8 more. It's the latest in a string of violent incidents in the South American country. Police say armed men drove up, opened fire on a large group of people, then drove away. No one claiming responsibility. Ecuador was once considered a bastion of peace in Latin America, but in recent years has seen a surge in violent attacks. Jason Walker reporting.
It happened during Easter Sunday brunch. The eatery in Nashville's Salemtown neighborhood crowded when 2 men started arguing and then shots rang out. A man was killed, 5 other people were injured. The suspect got away, but police say they do know who they're looking for. They say he's a 46-year-old man who police say does have a criminal record. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 3. Mornings with Mike Winters. All right, here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Monday, everybody. Post-Easter weekend. Hope your Monday's going well. Back to the grind for many, as especially if you enjoyed the week off prior for the long weekend and all that stuff, and spring break for some. Most of us were back already, but I know, like back east, I was talking to, of course, Easter, talking to my brother and family and everything yesterday, and they were all on spring break this past week. So, like, my brother went up to New York City to see some of family from his wife's side, with the kids and all that. So they got to do spring break last week, but rest of everyone else here was the week before, and then have a week. So they did it proper back east.
It's gonna be a change of pace for Kim. Full week of work.
I know.
Hey.
No.
How's she gonna fill all the time?
I know. She'll be out.
She do fine.
She'll be out. But yeah, full week. I know that's kind of like, oh man, we don't get a 4-day week.
5 days? Ugh.
What's up with that?
It's all right. It's just a couple more months until your 2-month break.
That's right.
I shouldn't, dog on teacher. Teachers are the hardest workers for the least amount of appreciation.
I do joke with my wife from time to time about that. But yes, there is no ad want her job. And yes, she needs every bit of that downtime when it's up. Because
the uptime, whew.
Your kids are crazy.
Yep. Because they're dealing with yo kids.
Yo kids are crazy. Yeah, there's some truth to that. But happy Monday. Hope everyone had a good Easter.
Oh, yeah.
And mine was low key. I literally, we did the brunch thing, and about 11, I cooked Eggs Benedict.
Nice.
And that turned out all right. Now, I cheat. I do not make homemade holiday sauce.
Oh, really?
Do not.
Okay.
No way. Because I am not a chef. I can cook, but I'm not a chef.
How do you, like a package?
I literally buy the McCormick pack.
Okay.
And you add butter and water and whisk, and you've got holiday sauce. It's very simple, and it tastes just fine.
I'm going to have to stop you on this one, though.
But I do poach my own eggs and do all that stuff.
Say it with me now. Hollandaise sauce.
Hollandaise sauce.
Not holiday sauce. That's the sauce you have on a holiday. Now, granted, Easter was a holiday.
I say it how I say it.
Just saying. I can't have you out there in the streets
I ate my
representing
holidays-
your morning show, mispronouncing hollandaise.
I eat my holiday sauce on the roof. That's what I do.
I'm that guy.
I think that's my Maryland slipping out of me there. I've
the
always
roof?
said it that way.
I am that guy though. Whenever I get a Benedict, I will always order extra hollandaise sauce with the idea that I'm going to use it, and they usually put enough on the thing.
Yeah.
But it still feels like I need to order the extra just because it's it's decadent.
Sure. Well, and I use it for everything. Mm-hmm. Like if you put hash browns and everything on that plate, I will use the hollandaise sauce on all of that stuff. If it's on the plate, it's getting sauced up.
Oh yeah,
that's what I do. But yeah, I almost had to, like, because I went to the store to get Canadian bacon. Like they didn't have it on the shelf.
Really?
They had little ham, round hams, but not Canadian bacon.
Wow.
And then my wife procured some I said procured. She gets salty when I say that.
We're talking about meats. So she gets salty.
Well, she called me on that yesterday. I was talking to my niece or something, or my sister. I can't remember. And I said, y'all procure? And then she gives me, you and Sean with your word procure all the time, saying procure. I'm like, what do you mean? It's a word. And it's like, you use it too much. I'm like, yeah, sorry, your husband has a vocabulary. I apologize.
That's our word.
So now I've been very self-conscious of the word procure over the last 24 hours.
Acquired. How about that? She acquired the Canadian bacon.
Matter of fact, you used the word earlier. And
I
was
did,
like,
yeah.
Oh, she ain't wrong.
I can't help it. I use words to sound smart.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not really smart, so I try to use words correctly sometimes to make it appear that I am.
Do you know how many times, just in the last 3 years, I've had to Google the word esoteric? I mean, just because I can't ever remember what it means.
Right.
But then I'll hear it used in conversation. I'm like, oh, esoteric. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's totally esoteric.
That's all right. I've still to this day, every time I spell receive, I'm like, wait a minute, this is the one with the
Same.
E's before the I. Hold on.
Same.
And I usually spell it wrong every time, and then autocorrect fixes it.
Oh, speaking of Google, this is today the 20th anniversary of Gmail.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was started April 1st, 2004.
That makes sense.
And in fact,
of course they started April 1st.
On April 1st, because Google was notorious for doing April Fool's jokes. So everybody assumed that this was a huge joke. Because if you think back at the time, what the?
I can't take a phone call.
The bat phone is going off. At the time, 1 gigabyte of storage was unheard of.
Yeah.
Yahoo and Hotmail,
true.
they had 50 megabytes of storage. It'll tick through.
Yeah, I was just
I'm gonna
curious
guess
what that was about.
Somebody at the door, maybe?
Oh, maybe. I was thinking maybe she transferred it, but maybe she was on the phone and it rang over to there.
That could be.
I didn't think about that. Yes, because I'm like, maybe my guest is a phone call, but I wasn't told there's a phone call. Told they were being here.
But yeah, they launched it on April 1st to make it look like an April Fool's joke, because then they would get extra free publicity when people figured out it
People
wasn't.
didn't believe it, but then it is, and then it is. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes complete sense.
Pretty crafty.
And that sounds so Google.
Pretty crafty, Larry Page.
Yeah. Google's always been good at making things seem on a whim, but it's not. You know what I mean? Kind of like Bob Ross.
Oh yeah.
Bob Ross, everything seemed on a whim.
Happy little accident. Bull crap.
Nothing was on a whim. Everything was
Nobody's
plot and planned.
Nobody's buying it.
Down
Bob.
to the second.
Down to the happy little tree.
So, but my point in all that was I cheat on my holiday sauce. That was what started all that. I buy the McCormick package because it's simple. Because I think if you make from scratch, it's an incredible amount of work.
It's just a lot of, you have to keep things moving.
It's discipline, a lot of whisking.
Things will scald or settle if you don't consistently whisk.
Now I'm getting. Okay, yes, our guest is downstairs. I just got a thing from our sales rep. Yeah, our guest is downstairs.
Hershey's. I have never actually made hollandaise sauce either from scratch or from a package. I've always just had it.
Yeah.
But I've seen the process done, and it's definitely not an easy process, but it seems like something that's achievable if you have enough time and patience.
Yeah.
I have neither of those things.
And I've gotten good at poaching eggs.
Yeah.
Like,
do you do the vortex?
Very simple. This is what I do. I get my pan with my water, fill it up to a reasonable level there in the pan. I add some vinegar.
Okay.
And then I take my egg, and I'll actually crack it into a cup, a little cup, like a little coffee cup or something, a mini one. And then I'll use that to slowly pour it into the water.
Okay.
And that keeps the egg from going all over the place.
Straining. The vinegar keeps it tight.
And the vinegar keeps it from sticking on the bottom of the pan. Because what it'll do is if you leave it, and then you put it in there, and I cook it for exactly 4 minutes.
Okay.
4 minutes, not 3.5, not 4:30. 4 minutes.
We only got
exactly.
4 minutes to save the world.
And then bad boys are come out
nice,
perfectly poached.
That's
with
awesome.
The yolk, with the everything. And
see, I've never done the vinegar. I always did the vortex, and that seems to work pretty well.
Yeah. No, I do the vinegar, and that keeps it from sticking. I don't have a sticking issue or a yolk breaking issue.
Nice.
Never have. But the trick is pouring it into a cup first and then pouring it in. Because if you just pour it in the water, crack it directly in the water, it'll spread out and it turns into a whole spidery looking thing. It doesn't look.
It's ugly and it's slimy and it's no fun.
It tastes fine, but it looks a little cattywampus on your sandwich.
And if anybody knows Mike and I, its presentation is clearly paramount.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. We care about these things.
That's right.
So. But and I think I only make eggs Benedict maybe a couple times a year, twice a year, 3 times a year. It's not something. Although it is my favorite breakfast known to breakfast. Like if someone said, if you can only eat one breakfast the rest of your life and nothing else, eggs Benedict's my 1C.
That actually fits because I'm not a huge egg fan, but I like a runny yolk.
And I'm a bit of a purist. I can appreciate people making other Benedict versions, like your sausage Benedict, like Bob Evans. If you go to find a Bob Evans restaurant, they have like a sausage gravy Benedict.
Well, Denny's has like 3 or 4 different varieties.
Yeah, and they taste pretty good. But to me, they're not Benedicts. To me, with the poached egg, the Canadian bacon, the hollandaise sauce, the English muffin, that's a Benedict. Everything else is Benedict-like.
Benedict adjacent.
Yes.
Fair enough. I like a little of the varieties.
I do too, but I when I want eggs Benedict.
Oh, I mean, I'm always coming back home.
Eggs Benedict.
Yeah.
But if someone says, "Yeah, try this woman's sausage and gravy," all right, fine. Oh, it's got spinach on it. Okay,
I'm not kicking it out of bed.
But it's not true to what the Benedict is.
Sure.
So anyway.
It tries.
Yes. We're have the gentleman from Keynote Piano Tuning going to join us here in just a few minutes. Talk a little bit about his business and for those that need piano tuning.
You might say he struck a chord.
That's right. Now all I think of is the old can't tune a fish, but you can tune a piano jokes and all that thing. I'm sure he hears them every day.
Oh, yeah. Every day.
I think as a man who becomes a piano tuner, you probably hear those jokes a lot.
You can tune a piano. You can't tune a fish.
That's right. Although they are delicious with the little mayonnaise and some relish. Good stuff. So it is 9:17. Let's go ahead and get you up to date on the weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Very gusty wind today. We have cold front moving through. Wind at 40 to 50 miles per hour. Our afternoon high in the upper 60s to about 70, and we do have a slim chance of a shower. Overnight, gusty wind continues. We'll drop to about 40 on the low under clear skies. And then on Tuesday, maybe a light shower, mix of sun and clouds, and a lot cooler. We'll stay in the low 60s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 52 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is I forgot to scroll up. 47%. Winds are out of the north at 9 miles per hour. We do have a red flag warning that's kicking in at 10 a.m. through 7 p.m. this evening. Also a high wind warning that kicks in at 11 a.m. through 8 p.m. this evening. Could see some scattered showers here. They're talking like a 40% of seeing some scattered showers here today. And this is during day, not just the afternoon. They're talking like before 3. Could see some patchy blowing dust this afternoon. Mostly sunny and a high of 69 today. So pushing 70. but the winds will be blowing out of the west 15 to 25 this morning, increasing 25 to 35, gusting as high as 50 miles per hour this afternoon. Tonight, expect patchy blowing dust before 8 p.m., mostly clear with an overnight low of 42 degrees. Winds will be out of the west 20 to 30, gusting as high as 45 miles per hour. Winds will drop down 10 to 20 after midnight tonight. For you Tuesday, partly cloudy, 63 for a high, winds out of the north 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, clear skies, overnight low of 36, northwest winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. Looking at the rest of the week, sunny and 74 for Wednesday, northwest winds at around 5 miles per hour. Sunny with highs near 80, 79 officially on Thursday. And then Friday, sunny and breezy with a high of 82 expected. Let's see. It is 20 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and then we will talk with Keynote Piano Tuning on the other side. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
Believe it or not, your home insurance company isn't evil. Jennifer from Trustmark Roofing here. A lot of roofers make your insurance company out to be your enemy. They'll talk about fighting and battling your insurance to get you the claim you deserve. But honestly, your insurance company is a group of people just like you and me. That's why we don't treat your roof insurance claim like we're going to war. We treat it like a court case. We provide your insurance company every piece of evidence needed to get you the highest possible claim. We submit photos, videos, detailed documents, and line-by-line estimates. And guess what? Our non-combat approach works. On 92% of roof insurance claims, we get the highest amount the first time. And the rare times we don't, well then, that's when we go to bat for you. Call today for your 20% off coupon for our spring roof and gutter maintenance service. 575-755-ROOF or visit TrustmarkRoofPros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
Get ready, Roswell and surrounding areas. The biggest block party of the year is coming to the Liberty. The first annual Rock the Block Downtown Block Party, Saturday, April 6th, in the parking lot of the Liberty in Roswell. An all-day block party with fun for the whole family, plus food trucks and vendors, a beer garden, and more, featuring Los Lonely Boys.
How far is heaven? Lord, can you tell me?
With special guest Shiloh.
I still don't get you, hard as I try. Is there no endeavor inside?
And Robin Scott.
When you turn and you walk away, it will be one big glorious day.
Tickets are available now at thelibertyinc.com. Get yours before they're gone. And don't forget about the after party live inside the Liberty. Gates open at 3. Tickets and more info at thelibertyinc.com. Rock the Block 2024. Saturday, April 6th in the parking lot of the Liberty, 312 North Virginia in Roswell.
Artesia General Hospital's family practice providers support the healthcare needs of every member in your family, no matter their age. With locations in Artesia and Carlsbad, our compassionate experts offer a full range of primary services and can help manage chronic conditions, treat illness and injury, and coordinate specialty care. Whether you need a medical provider for your entire family or are getting on track with your annual checkup, we're here for you. Reach out today at artesiageneral.com/family.
The Roswell Symphony Orchestra proudly presents Pines of Rome, Saturday, April 27th, 7:30 p.m. at Pearson Auditorium in Roswell, featuring guest soloist Ariel Horowitz. You're invited to the pre-concert event at 6 p.m. at the Daniels Leadership Center, featuring special guest Dr. Jim Shearer. Tickets and more information at roswellsymphony.org or call 575-623-5882. Sponsored by Sarah and Robert Armstrong, New Mexico Arts, Pioneer Bank, Pepsi, and KOBR TV8. Ad paid for by Roswell Lodgers Tax.
Artesia, it's back. Red Zone 2024 is coming Saturday, April 13th to the Bulldog Pit, featuring a night with 2024 Rookie of the Year and two-time Heisman Trophy finalist CJ Stroud. Doors open at 6 p.m. Event begins at 7. Tickets are free of charge, but you must have one to enter. Free tickets can be picked up beforehand at the Artesia Chamber of Commerce. Red Zone 2024 featuring CJ Stroud is a presentation of myashley.org. For free tickets and more information about Red Zone 2024, please contact the Artesia Chamber of Commerce.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Alaska is the only state name that can be typed on one row of keys. Go ahead and try typing the other 49 states. We'll wait. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 24 minutes now officially after 9 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning from Keynote Piano Tuning, Reed is with us this morning. Good morning, Reed.
Well, good morning, Mike. How are you?
Doing good. And I think from the name of your business, we can kind of figure out what your main service is.
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Piano tuning and servicing for folks that that own pianos and get them done. And this is where I have no musical knowledge. I'm just like, I tried playing the recorder in elementary school, and they kind of said, maybe you shouldn't do these. Not your. So I have zero musical talent, but I can appreciate it. But
right.
I know owning a piano is a little different than owning a guitar or owning a trumpet or something like that. It's actually a piece of furniture. It is something that in most cases is handed down from generation to generation. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You know, imagine a piano is something that you may have bought, but odds are pretty good that was your grandparents' piano or something like that. You know, so it's really more than just an instrument you go down to the music store and pick up on a whim, so to speak.
It is so much more than that.
Yeah.
And that's actually my experience. My piano at home was handed down through several generations and ended up in my home.
So that's kind of where your love for pianos, because I imagine as a man that tunes pianos for a living, you probably know and enjoy and love pianos yourself.
I do. I can enjoy a good in-tune piano, and part of my story was I had this piano. It was at my parents' house, and that's where I kind of learned how to play a little bit, but it always sounded terrible.
Gotcha.
And
I can fix this.
I just kind of would hope, I could never imagine one day that it could ever sound good. In my mind, it just always sounded terrible. And so one day, I had a gentleman come and help me tune that piano before I knew how to do it.
Okay.
And he kind of showed me
the
reins
ropes, so
and
to
kind of
speak.
showed me a little bit. Yeah, exactly. And I kind of thought, well, I might be able to do that. And as soon as I heard how good the piano could sound, I thought there's probably a lot of people that feel the same way that I do.
Sure.
And it actually made my daughters fall in love with the piano, and because it actually sounded good. You know, children can tell when something sounds bad and when something sounds good.
Well, and in the piano world, quality does make a difference.
It really does.
You know, you look at, that's why you like for instance, just because it's pretty popular, for folks who don't know, the Anderson Museum here in town has a really, really, really nice piano there. It's probably worth more than most of us make in a year.
Right. It's true.
And trust me, when pianists, professional and amateur, play on that thing, they tell the difference between that and just like the one your music teacher had in elementary school.
Right.
It's a night and day different piano that they're dealing with here. And so that's kind of what you're talking about here is, you know, you get, and then when you hear and see what a piano's supposed to do, properly tuned, and even the low end ones, the ones that aren't, quote, heirlooms per se.
Right.
When they're properly tuned and properly done, they're beautiful sounding instruments. And you know, that's, you know, I'm going to guess, you know, think of your most famous pianist, you know, from your Liberace's on down. And I think the tuning and all that comes into play on, you know, the difference between your Liberace versus you're just some guy in a bar mashing on keys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, you know, any musician will say a guitar player or, you know, someone who plays harpsichords or any kind of stringed instrument that way, where you have to regulate the tuning in such a way that it can really affect the entire product at the end of the day. And so it's credible how big of a difference it makes.
And I would compare your work to actual like artisan work. And what I mean by that is like watchmakers and people that it's a skilled craft. Common, not uncommon, that it was a family business, that, you know, dad was a watchmaker or family member or something. And I equate to what you do is very much in that same vein because, I mean, let's face it, it's a niche market. I mean, not everybody owns a piano. Most people probably don't own a piano, I would say.
Right.
But everyone knows of it and where, and when you do have them, it's a lifestyle. It's you know, owning a piano, it's kind of like Jeep owners, where the Jeep owns you as much as you own it. Sometimes, and I think pianos are the same way. Whereas, you know, you own a piano, there's a certain responsibility that you, as the keeper of this piano, you need to keep it in fine operating condition, and getting it tuned is very much a part of that, because when people see a piano in a room, especially someone that knows how to play, they ain't going to sit down and say, has it been tuned recently? They want to get down and start playing.
Right.
You know, and so as a purveyor of a piano like this, you kind of got to keep it tuned all the time because you never know when, not even just you yourself, but company comes and they're ready to belt out a ditty and, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have it tuned up. It's gonna what I mean?
It is true. It is a responsibility because, like you said earlier, it is a big piece of furniture.
Sure.
And it's not one of those items that improves over time. It's one of those things that kind of gets worse if you just kind of let it degrade.
Sure.
And you ignore it or neglect it. And so tuning is one aspect of many to make sure that your piano is cared for well.
And this is again back to my naivete of music. Do they work like guitars and things where the materials used to make it impact the sound it gives? Like, you get a certain guitar, and if it's made with a certain wood or shaped a certain way, it's going to emit a certain sound. Pianos work the same way if you use a certain wood or shape the piano a certain way? Like an upright piano is probably not going to sound the same as more of elongated with the hood popped open kind of the image people think of a piano.
Absolutely, it does. So student pianos, upright pianos, grand pianos, they all shared similar characteristics in how they're built, but they all sound so different.
Sure. Well, it's an echo chamber. Like you're vibrating those strings, and the chamber it's in, that it's echoing those vibrations are going to make the noise. And if it's echoing, that's why bass guitars are big. You know what I mean? You need the big chamber to echo it, and vice versa. And I'm thinking it's no different in a piano. Or,
absolutely.
Those big grand pianos that are used for concerts and classical performances, they need the size to evoke the bass and everything they're trying to put out there with the music.
Right.
So
and a lot of that has to do with the resonance of the piano.
Gotcha.
And the longer the resonance, the more those notes will carry out.
Gotcha.
And sing, for lack of a better word. And those notes, how they play whenever they play with one another. Whenever you tune a piano, it's not just one string at a time.
Right.
You often have to check how each string coincides with one another.
Okay.
Because they all resonate with one another.
Okay. Now, does that, and I don't know if you know guitar and stuff, but is it tuned the same way? Because obviously with guitar, the strings, you do one, but you make the music with multiple. Same kind of principle here. Is it
exactly
like tuning a guitar and a piano? Is there similarities there, or are they night and day different animals?
No, they're very similar in that way. Of course, guitars are so much easier to tune.
Well, yeah, there's only the 4 strings or
4 or 6,
depending on a 6 string or a 10 string. But at the end of the day, that's what you got. Whereas a piano, for every one of those white and black keys, there's a string attached to it.
Well, and for a good section of the piano, there's 2 or 3 strings attached to it.
Exactly, so
there
more
can be
than one.
over 200 strings on a piano that you have to tune and make sure that they all work with one another.
Wow.
And especially in places like churches or concert halls where you could tune a piano to itself, where if you just play on your own, it can still sound good, but maybe if you played it next to a guitar or another instrument, it still wouldn't sound right.
Sure.
But in a church or a concert hall or even a school, something like that, you have to make sure it's exactly correct. So that way, when all instruments are played with it, it's right.
I'm just curious, too, because when we think of tuning a piano, you think of the strings, adjusting, tightening, loosening the strings to get the right sound. But does that involve more of the piano than just the strings? Like the wood's treated a certain way. Like if it's not, like if the wood's expanding and contracting, it's going to evoke a different sound. Some of your piano tuning, does it involve that too, or is it mostly just with the string side of things?
Well, the strings affect the better part of the entire instrument.
Gotcha.
So what's happening? These strings have so much tension that's pulling that it impacts so many parts of the piano as a whole. So for existence, if you're tuning a piano that hasn't been tuned in 10, 20 years, it's been a really long time, that wood in the piano that holds this together has become accustomed to that tension.
Okay.
So then whenever you begin to pull and stretch, what happens is the piano wants to go back to where it was comfortable. So you have to revisit that over and over and over for it to stay.
So really,
a lot of times.
the key here is to preserve and is regularly tune it. Like when you have these long gaps of in between tuning it, you're actually doing a bigger disservice to that piano than you realize.
Absolutely.
And it makes so what's the good window here as far as, like, let's just say, and I'm guessing use does come into play on how often you have to tune something.
It does.
But for an average piano in a household, what's a good rule of thumb on how often it should be tuned up?
Yeah, so manufacturers recommend at least once a year.
Okay.
If you're a occasional player just around the house whenever you get a chance, the occasional player, about once a year. If you're a frequent player, even at home, 2 to even up to 4 times a year is not uncommon.
So if you're playing daily, you probably want to
Yeah.
do it 2 to 4 times a year. But if you do it like holidays and when company's over, once a year. should probably
Once
get
a
you
year
done.
is probably fine. But
Good
yeah,
deal.
if you're playing hours on end each day, you really want to stay on top of it.
I would also probably guess the quality of the piano should impact that too. So if it's a more high-end piano, even though you don't play it as frequently, maybe you should tune it more often. And if I'm wrong, tell me. But I'm
No,
thinking just
absolutely.
logically, if you've got more money invested in this than the average person does, maybe even if you only play it twice a year, get it tuned 2-3 times a year.
Well, and that's going to be one of the, if you have an issue with a high-end piano like that and you call the manufacturer or you try and get someone to come help you, the first question they're going to ask is, when was the last time you tuned it or serviced it? You know, they're going to want to know what kind of maintenance schedule you've had for this piano. So if you have a good schedule on keeping it in tune, that is a good first step, because what it also allows is an expert to be looking at that piano regularly.
Sure.
And to know, hey, I'm noticing
there's some wear and tear here.
There's something happening. You may want to have this addressed. The strings, even in humid climates, the strings are looking a little rusty, which can weaken the strings.
Sure.
And, you know, when you have a string break, you have to be prepared for that as well, because that's something that is common.
Can that be dangerous for a piano string? Like I've always heard, but could like you get smacked in the head with one of these and maybe a trip to the ER for something?
I have a piano tuner friend in Albuquerque, and he was telling me a story. He was tuning a grand piano, so with the lid, and he had the lid closed, completely closed, and he was tuning the bass section, and the string popped, and he you know, you can hear it. It's obvious when it happens.
I would imagine.
He opened the lid.
It's got to be loud because it's all tension.
Yeah, it's so much tension. So he was looking around the inside of the piano, could not find it. Well, the string had flown in between the tiny gap in between the body and the lid and flown to the other side of the room and smacked into the wall.
Wow, he could recreate that shot if he tried.
No way. And so basically the moral of the story is, he said, I tell everybody whenever I'm tuning a piano, you cannot be in the room because who knows, like statistically it's a small chance that could happen.
It's kind of like a firearm. If you don't respect it, it will bite you.
Exactly. So, and for strings breaking, there's a lot of factors that come into that. Sometimes piano tuners can over tighten a string to where there's too much tension.
And I imagine too that you probably have to deal with some of that is you deal with people that maybe have less experience when it comes to tuning pianos and things. And so, you know, there may be, and I would guess too, tuning a stand-up upright daily use piano versus a high-end grand piano, there's probably a little bit different way you approach those types of things.
There
You know what I mean?
absolutely is. I mean, when you're dealing with a piano, I mean, every piano is important to somebody.
Sure.
But, you know, when you're dealing with a piano that's maybe worth about $500 today
Right.
versus a piano that's maybe worth $100,000,
Sure.
you maybe want to approach that a little bit
it's no different a car or any other thing of value.
Right.
You know, you have your car that you paid $500 for. You don't mind beating it up and driving around, but the car you paid $80,000 for, you start babying a little bit.
Right.
No different with that piano. You got my first piano from Fisher Price. You beat that bad boy up. No big
Right.
deal. But when
Yeah.
you got something that's designed to play in concert halls, you might want to treat that one a little bit with a little bit more respect.
Absolutely, it is. I mean, that's why even like you said with cars, there's different insurances. You know,
Exactly.
you get so the insurance of having someone looking at that piano regularly and keeping an eye on it. And
Sure. And plus, what we're talking about here are things that are in theory around long after you leave this earth. You know, when
Right.
we're talking those kind of pianos, these are like, it's getting back to that investment and things we're talking about. Ideally, when you leave this earth, this piano is going to a son, a daughter, a grandchild, somebody, you know.
It's going to somebody.
Yeah. And because A, they're that valuable, but B, you know, they're designed to last forever. I mean, that if they're properly taken care of, if they're tuned on a regular and you keep them in, you know, out of really harsh conditions, you know, don't, you know, climate controlled rooms and things, don't keep them in the barn in the backyard with no climate control, then it's gonna warp that wood after a while and things.
Absolutely.
So think about that. If you do have these high-end pianos and it's not like in the home and it's in storage somewhere, make sure that you store it in a place that's climate controlled. Otherwise, you're doing some serious damage to that thing. I would hate for you to have a high-end piano and you have it in a barn or shed somewhere, and you pull it out 10 years later hoping it's going to be the same, and you're like,
There's a lot that can happen. There's a lot of atmospheric changes that can change a piano, even where you place a piano in your home makes a difference.
I could imagine that too. Yeah.
I mean, it's, I know everyone has limitations on where they can place such a large piece of furniture, but near direct sunlight can have problems. Underneath an air vent can be an issue.
You don't think about it, but it makes complete sense when you say it. Yeah.
The dress, especially here in Roswell, New Mexico as a whole, this part of the country,
extremes here.
Everything's extremes. 1 week it's freezing, the other week it's hot and windy.
Yeah.
And all of that plays a toll in having your piano tuned. So my best advice, if someone wants to have it in tune frequently, without question, 4 times a year.
Very good.
But if you're okay with it dropping a little bit and some of the inconsistencies, like if it's just you, then once a year is perfectly fine.
And it's like anything else, if it's a lower end piano, but you want to keep it working well and stuff like you said. But if it is one that, it's, and to be honest, if you're getting into pianos, and you're learning it, you don't want to buy the high end concert piano to go out with that you spend thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars on. You learn the thing. You buy the Casio keyboard that you paid $59.99 or $259.99 or whatever they're going for now.
Of course,
you know what I mean, and that's how you learn.
Right.
And then as you get better and stuff, then you say, I'm going to make my first investment and buy my first piano.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heirloom piece here, and plus I hope it inspires others too, because if Grandma played it and then you leave and hopefully you decide to pick up the piano too and do all that too.
That kind of like I mentioned earlier, that was actually my exact situation.
Yeah.
It was my great grandmother's piano that was handed down, came from Tennessee, all the way to my home, and now it's going to my daughters.
That's cool.
Because it sounds good. They were like, "Oh, I want to play this." So every day they kind of sit down and
do pianos get like that too, where it's very personal, like guitars, where it's like, I've had this guitar my whole life. It looks beat up, but it sounds this certain way that I love. Do pianos get that way too? And you're like, yeah, it's not pretty to look at, but boy, it sounds good. You know what I mean?
Absolutely it does. And even just the nostalgic feeling of knowing, like, okay, generations before me have played this piano.
Sure.
It meant something to someone.
Yeah.
And now it means something to me.
Yeah.
And then to be able to take care of that and then think, well, at least I know the person that gave it before me, if they saw me now, they would be grateful that I was taking care of their investment.
It's funny you mentioned that, and this was years ago. I got a chance to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and tour and see all that, which is cool. I recommend you do it. It's pretty cool. But one of the artifacts that were in the museum that kind of I just stuck with me was when Jimi Hendrix was a kid, their family had this upright piano and he learned to play on it, and that was so basically the piano that I would say gave us Jimmy was sitting right there in that, and he played it as a kid, and of course it was 60s, it was very gaudy looking, very ornate it was not something that we'd call pretty by today's standards, but to me, like you said, it was just like Jimi Hendrix was the one who worked this keys and doing, you know what I mean? To me, that's you're like, the history of what we know now, and you saw, this, it was done on this, and to me that's cool to see that kind of stuff. So I get exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, the simplest inspiration can cause such a change in somebody's life.
Yeah.
And that's what it was for me. My grandmother taught me how to play guitar. She taught me how to play some chords, and then it sparked my interest in piano, and it just kind of went from there. And so just even such a small investment.
Do you still play guitar too?
I do.
So do you have a preference, like piano, guitar, or is it just mood thing? Like I'm in the mood to play piano today or guitar.
I really think it's all about what you're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
I mean, piano, you can, on your own, you can make so much resonance in a song. You can carry so much because there's so many notes in front of you. And guitar is just it's so fun as a solo instrument. They just have such different roles.
Sure.
Especially when they're put together, though.
Sure.
That's magical.
That makes sense, because like the guitars, like if you just want to go be you somewhere, it's pretty easy to do. Piano's a little bit.
Yeah.
But I always, and this is again just me observing, I have no factual or any kind of evidence to support this, but it seems like when it comes to artists that make music and things, if they play piano guitar, they tend to make the music on the piano, it seems like like when they're writing and creating, usually they're sitting in front of the piano doing it, not in front of a guitar. I'm not saying that's always the case, but it seems like the piano is the place where they create. And that's, I don't know if it's just because of the way the piano sounds and what it gives you a little bit more ability than on a guitar.
Well, and I think a lot of that is because the piano is such a prevalent instrument in today's music. And this can be from classical music to modern music today. You will hear piano in some way, in some form. There's probably a piano that was played. And I think just with the amount of available creativity you have in front of you at a piano, it's just kind of unmeasured next to even a guitar or another instrument. Because it can carry so much weight in a single song.
But to me, also with guitar, like, or guitar and piano, like, you can get, I don't know, a classical guitarist, and then you get a rock star play guitar, and it's two different things.
Absolutely.
Piano, you could easily get Beethoven and Jerry Lee Lewis, and a different tempo of music, but it's still the same, if that makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
It's still the same vibe, feel, even if it's Great Balls of Fire or Beethoven's Fifth. You know what I mean? It's still the same in some way, whereas guitar is not. It's like you got a classical guitarist and you got, I don't know, Eddie Van Halen or whatever sitting there. It's not the same.
Right.
I mean, both, but to me, it's just different. Like a classical guitarist, and to me, it's almost a different level. But even in piano world, you can get a concert pianist do amazing, and then Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls of Fire, doing the same, but a different, and it still evokes the same feeling, if that makes sense.
It's equally as impressive to hear both, and then to be musically astounded by that. And it's piano just it's just a different world. It's just a different world, and when you are able to care for your piano in such a way that you want to play it, then that means the most. That means the most for you as a learning musician. Or
so
even
for
as
you
a
to play
professional.
piano, do you like to play the more classical concert-y stuff, or are you kind of like, no, I want to do, goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire. What's your...
I really wish I could play classical. I just never learned that way. So I'm more of a modern player where I play chords and I kind of listen with my ear and then try and pick it up. But if I could play classical music, I really would. As a child, it sounded very boring to learn.
Well, it's discipline.
It's discipline. It's a lot of hard work.
Where Jerry Lee Lewis is a little less disciplined and more, let's just see what this baby can do.
Right.
Whereas a concert pianist, it's skill, it's sciencey more than it's music, but it's more sciencey music than just, all right, here's a thing, let's start banging on things till we get a sound here.
You can compare it to like modern dancing and maybe ballet. Modern dancing, while it does have some disciplines, there's a lot more freedom and forgiveness in it, where ballet, that's an extremely disciplined
that makes
type
sense.
of
Like
art.
it's like classical and stuff, there's rules and you have to follow them. Whereas rock and roll, sure, there's rules, but you're allowed to break them and you're still doing music.
Yeah,
you know
in rock
what
and
I mean?
roll, the piano doesn't even have to be in tune.
Exactly.
At that point.
Sometimes.
Sometimes that's what it needs.
Well, it's because they learned on when it was out of tune, and so
of course,
and they're trying to. But
that's the character.
But if you're a piano owner, or maybe even thinking about and you want to do this, mark Keynote Piano Tuning and keep that handy, and you should have Reed at least visit you once a year, if not more. If you play more often than that, if you're every weekend hosting piano parties or just playing every day, then you need Reed to come visit you a couple times a year.
Absolutely.
But at least once a year. As far as just giving you a call, is that probably the best way to do it?
Yeah, absolutely. You can call 575-578-3098.
Okay.
I can also do online bookings. If you just go to my Google profile, just search Keynote Piano Tuning. You can also book online. I also offer 10% discounts to churches and schools.
Okay.
And any kind of institution in that way.
Yeah.
And so
places that they probably need more frequent because they're doing it every Sunday or every day in schools.
Yeah, absolutely. So I offer 10% off to any of those institutions that use the piano regularly like that and are using those to better people's lives.
Yeah.
So,
and like you said, if you got an upright or something a little more fancy and a little more family heirloomy, he can handle all of that.
I'll be there.
He'll get it,
be happy
going,
to be there.
And but like you said, if it's been a long time, if you can't remember,
it's
then
probably
time for
yeah.
for Reed to come visit and do all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But reach out, 575-578-3098. Do you serve all of Southeast New Mexico?
Yeah, I've done a lot in Roswell, Artesia, Carlsbad, all this area.
Excellent. So if you're past the sound of my voice anywhere, or if you got friends in Carlsbad that aren't listening right now and own pianos, and you say, well, I've just heard a guy on the radio, Reek, and then he'll come down there and get your piano tuned up and taken care of for you.
Yep, I'll travel wherever you're at.
Do you do beyond tuning? Like if they need repairs or things like that, do you do some of that, or is that a different level of work?
So I can do some very minor repairs.
Okay.
If it's very basic, I can handle that.
Okay.
If it's a little more challenging, then that's something we can arrange and talk about with.
I would imagine you need like gunsmith like level. You know what I mean? Like a gunsmith who's formally trained in those things. I imagine with piano, because you're dealing with precision parts.
Right.
And anytime you're dealing with precision parts, you don't have room for error a lot of times. A fraction of an inch can be the difference between success and failure.
And especially with family heirlooms, one mistake can, ruin something.
So it makes sense that, you do that, but when it gets to that level of detail, then it's time to bring in the next level guy in.
Right.
That kind of
Absolutely.
So it makes sense. And,
yeah.
And put it this way, when you spend the kind of money it takes for some of those kind of pianos, you want the people that this is what they do, nothing else but doing.
Absolutely.
There's a reason they're niche. It's because they do this better than anything else in their lives. Probably.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I imagine that's kind of the case for your piano. You probably do it in your sleep sometimes. And
I have woken up and I've thought I should probably go do this today. Yeah. I went with my pastor actually to a funeral, and I brought my tools with me. And just in case, you never know. And so I went, and sure enough, this piano needed a little bit of work. And so,
can there be quick fixes on that? Can you literally you're sitting at church and you hear it, and it's like, give me 5 minutes. All right, now try it.
Yeah. There are situations where you can like that at this funeral that I played a song at. It was about 7 minutes.
Okay.
I just got the section that I needed.
Gotcha. It's like, hey, I can work it up to get this song in.
Yeah.
Don't go get too deep in the catalog here, because I can't help you. But you stay in this area, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Otherwise, to do it from beginning to end.
There's 200 plus strings.
Yeah, it takes about an hour and a half. That's kind of been my average time. So if you got an hour and a half, that's about how long it takes.
Sure. And I would imagine, too, because of it and everything, there's probably a hard way to do it and an easy way to do it.
There's very much.
And people that don't know, they do it the hard way almost every time, whereas a person like you who's been doing this your whole life, you're like, that's after you do a couple of years, you learn not to do it that way.
Exactly. Yeah, whenever I first started, it was like 3-4 hours.
Sure.
And so it's you dwindle that down, but you don't lose the efficiency or the accuracy. You just get better at it.
Sure.
So,
have you ever had a desire to make your own piano or something? Maybe not to a grand scale, but you just look and say, I would love to take some almost a DIY, do-it-yourself things around the house. I could make a piano out of this.
Well, what I'd actually love to do is take a piano that is not working, take it apart, figure out what's wrong.
Bring it back to life.
Put it back to life. I think that would be so much fun.
So go to a piano junkyard somewhere and just see something that looks like it's been left out to pasture.
Well, I mean, you could throw a rock in Roswell and find somebody that has a piano that they're willing to move on.
I could even imagine if you doing the YouTube and that kind of thing. You know how they do restorations for cars or they find an old Corvette or something in a basement that's been sitting here for 30. I imagine you could do a whole thing with pianos like that.
I'm sure.
You go those American Picker types. They find this old piano in a barn somewhere. And, and turns out it was from some old speakeasy from the 1920s and probably has some historical significance to it or something.
There's gems out there. So if you got one, call me.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. But if you need the piano tuned, you own a piano, doesn't matter, all types, uprights to concert pianists to high end to very low end, he can get it sounding the way it's supposed to and get it done. Just reach out to Keynote Piano Tuning 575-578-3098. Again, 575-578-3098. Do you have Facebook and all that too?
Yep, got a Facebook, and on that Facebook page you can actually see some before and afters.
Okay, so if you want to see
so if you're wondering maybe my piano sounded terrible, you can see I have some very terrible sounding pianos on there.
If your piano sounds like the before and not the after, time for Keynote Piano Tuning.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can also see any reviews I've got on there that share other people's positive experience to give you a little bit of peace of mind as well.
Yeah, because and I imagine, because let's face it, you have a unique job and a unique business that you offer, and so And I imagine there's probably not a lot of options for folks when they do need a piano tuning. They got and it's nice to have someone local.
Absolutely.
Because I imagine the more outside of local you get, the more expensive it's going to be for them because they got to travel and
absolutely.
So it because of what you do as a craft, it's very niche. And there's not a lot of people that specialize in that kind of thing.
Right.
So I imagine you probably even have to travel to some extent because, you go where the business is and someone in Texas is like, you're the only guy I know that can tune my piano, then you're going to Texas.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that is the nature of the job. But, I'm just happy to help people hear the before and after.
Sure.
And
well, and I imagine, too, is like they don't realize they need it. And then you get in and work. It's like, this is how it's supposed to sound.
Yeah. And
you sound like a sick dog.
Yeah. People's reactions sometimes are like, oh, my goodness, I have no idea.
Yeah. Like guitar is a little more forgiving. Like you can kind of tell. Like they hit a string. You're like, whoa, that sounds not right. Piano because there's so many of them, it hides a little bit better.
Right.
But you know the difference. Like you know it when you hear it.
Absolutely.
But you may not realize it till you realize it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true.
But good. Keynote Piano Tuning is the business. If you need a piano tuned, anything from the upright in the basement to the concert piano, high-end, high-expensive, high-fancy one, Reed can get you done on that. 575-578-3098 or look for Keynote Tuning on Facebook and shoot a message if you don't call or get voicemail.
That's
we'll
perfect.
Get you set up and get you on the list and get your piano sounding the way it's supposed to.
That's it. That's perfectly it.
And if people been complaining about your bad piano playing, tell them blame it on the tuning. And now that I got the Keynote guy, it's going to be way better now.
Right, there
now,
we go.
If you still play piano bad, it's on you.
Yeah. That's a different discussion.
But even bad piano playing's on a good day is better than nothing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you got to be bad to get good. So
That's
keep
exactly
practicing,
right.
keep trying, keep doing your thing. But if you want to start off on the right foot, let Reed tune it up first before you start learning. So that way you know what you're supposed to hear and not what you think you're supposed to hear. Good deal.
Absolutely.
Is there anything we missed that we wanted to share that we got sidetracked on?
No, I think we hit it all. I think
Excellent.
that's perfect.
Well, we'll let you. I'm sure you got a piano or two waiting for your services right now, so we'll let you get to do that. And thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. And if we ever get a piano in this studio, because if we ever get a budget, then we'll get you tuning on it.
I'll be here. Thank you.
We'll also need a player because, you heard what I said. I can barely play a radio, let alone any kind of musical instrument.
I'll help in any way I can.
All right, it is 9:56. Let's pause for your Wall Street Business Report. Quick break before they kick me off the radio. Don't go away.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Rich Thomason. Back to work today for Wall Street following the long Easter holiday weekend. Economic reports due out this week include trade, jobless claims, vehicle sales, and the government's comprehensive March jobs report. UPS shares rose 2.2% after the package delivery company said it will become the primary air cargo provider for the United States Postal Service, significantly expanding an existing partnership between the two. Shares of UPS rival FedEx fell 1.7% before the opening bell. The World Bank has released a report forecasting that economies in developing countries of East Asia and the Pacific will grow 4.5% this year, down from 5.1% in 2023. It estimates China's economy will expand 4.5% this year, down from 5.2% in 2023. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Rich Thomason.
Listen up, golfers. Grab your clubs and get ready for a fun weekend of golf for a great cause, because it's time once again for the Roswell Honda Classic Charity Golf Tournament. April 20th and 21st at the Nancy Lopez Golf Course. This 2-day, 3-person scramble begins Saturday, April 20th with a double shotgun start Saturday and Sunday, 7:30 a.m. and 1 p.m., along with a golf ball drop Sunday at 9 a.m., with prizes for first place, second place, third place, longest drive, and closest to the pin. And a new Honda HR-V driver and putter with a hole-in-one. Plus free barbecue, drinks, and beer for both days. The cost to enter is $450 per 3-person team, with a portion of the proceeds to benefit the Gonzales Hope Center. Get more info and register online at roswellhonda.com or register in person. Get your 3-person team together and get signed up now. The Roswell Honda Classic, April 20th and 21st at the Nancy Lopez Golf Course. Sign up today.
Oasis Computers has been Roswell's trusted source for home and small business computers for over 30 years, and they continue to be your best resource for computer repairs, operating system upgrades, web root managed, antivirus, special orders, and more. Oasis Computers is now open from 8 to 1, Monday through Friday to better serve you. Service calls by appointments and after-hour appointments are available too. Stop by Oasis Computers at 1703 North Garden or call or text 575-625-9141 for even faster service.
Playing dance music can help ward off mosquitoes. Now you have a reason to invite Pitbull to your next pool party. Here's Mike Winters.
And we're closing in on 10 o'clock. That's going to do it for us for today's show. If you missed any part, I invite you to check it out at your leisure. Log on to ksvptv.com. Click on the Mornings with Mike Winters channel, and you'll find all of our interviews there. And, of course, if you are a Facebook user, we have them all on our 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM Facebook wall. Older interviews, you got to scroll down a little bit more, so you might, have to do a little digging, but it is there. So that's going to do it for us. Have an amazing day. We'll be back bright and early, 7 a.m. tomorrow. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico. Take care, everybody.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Correspondent Julie Walker has an update on work at the